game comes to a close, and Phoenix gets him. Clay ejected for the first time ever. How about that? We've all been watching an awful lot of Warrior basketball. The one thing that we can all share tonight, we were there the night that Klay Thompson went for 37. Well, at least I was there that night. But we were there when Klay Thompson got ejected for the very first time. Welcome to the Krueg Show. I'm Larry Krueger. The box on my right is Ryan Smith. 2 over is Dan Coccimilgio. Dan, wave to everybody. Please, Dan, wave to everybody. Dan's out of state. Dan's an older gentleman in a 55 and over community. Now on the bottom row, Frank Red. We go right below Danny, Frank Red, who I've known for years and years.
It's like the Hollywood Dungeon, Squares here.
The Dungeon, yeah, exactly. And who was on the Hollywood Squares? But and then, of course, the great Carl Foster, right beneath Rye, Bay Area baller, right beneath me. And on the guest line, Steve Coccimilgio, longtime basketball coach, guy that we've talked to many times. It's funny how our Coccimilgio ratio is really bad tonight. But Steve joins us, and guys, let's just start off talking about this one. The game, we can get into the game. Phoenix wins the game. Golden State, was down at the end of the first half, 72-66, and then that third quarter. I mean, to me, what did you guys see between Klay and Booker? Because the one thing I thought TNT did a terrible job. They covered this thing like a fan had run on the floor. Cover the game. Klay is a superstar. Devin Booker is a superstar. They're obviously jawing. We are all grown-ups. We can see that. It's not like a guy ran out from center court and lit himself on fire. It's not a fan from the stands. I get it when they don't want to show us the fans. I don't get it on TNT when we can't get Klay and Booker. We can't actually see it. But whatever. Klay gets ejected. Coach, anybody really wants to jump in on this one. What did you guys see? Because it seemed like whatever was said from Klay back to Booker and back to Klay, we all seen Klay play. It lit a fuse under Klay that I haven't seen. I don't know if, Booker gave him you're yesterday, I'm today. I don't know exactly what. He's the younger guy. He's got more of a future, but Klay's got the rings, as he showed everybody as he walked off the floor. What was your guys' thoughts on that? Because that's where the game pivoted. Phoenix got a little momentum. They had a little spurt, and they kind of rode that to the finish line. Anybody can jump in.
Steve, why don't you jump in?
Okay. Well, I mean, Booker's the young gun. And I mean, I think Phoenix has still got a lot to prove after last year. And I'm sure they're frustrated. But, I just think that maybe he said a few things to Klay that, Klay, because they're coming off the championship and because everything he's been through, he seemed to get more upset about it, visibly than Booker. And after the game, I was watching the interview quickly after the game, and Booker complimented Klay Thompson, said he's always looked up to him and he respects him. So I think, Klay just lost his cool, and they were going to keep him in the game, and he was over by the Warrior bench, and guys were trying to pull him back, and he kind of jumped over either Curry or somebody, and then the official just said, "Hey, that's it, you're gone." They didn't want to throw him out, but Klay just wouldn't stop.
I just felt like the officials injected themselves into this game too much. 7 technicals in the third quarter alone. I paid big money to see an NBA game. I'm not there to see Ed Malloy. Sorry. I want to see the players. So I mean, I just do what you got to do to keep the game going. Be there for pace, be there for, good calls, but come on, man. It's thousands of dollars to sit courtside. I ordered 3 beers at the Warrior game last year. I'm still paying it off, I believe. I'm thinking about 2 dogs and 2 beers at the next game, but I'm thinking layaway. I'm going to start layaway just a little bit at a time. No, but it's expensive, man. Don't run the players out. I want to see Klay Thompson and Devin Booker in the second half.
The game was really exciting. It was up and down, and it was back and forth with scoring, and it was like 3-point, 70 to 68 or whatever the heck it was. And you saw some atrocious non-calls. The Draymond lay-in where he just got clobbered.
Yeah, what was that?
And they don't call the foul.
You know what, Dan, let me jump in real quick. I wanted to see Kerr did this in the playoffs. It's a total FU move to the ref you can do now is he could have challenged that. And then it's like, then the ref has to go and objectively kind of embarrass him. Okay, keep going.
No, I just thought the non-call, the calls, the non-call on Draymond, and then they come down and they barely bump and they give it an and one to Phoenix, and it's like you're going to call that, but you're not going to call Draymond the body blow that just knocked him to the ground as he's going up for the layup. To me, that was a momentum changer because it was just like the Warriors just lost it then. I mean,
it was a bad night for Ed Malloy. Yeah. Come on. They blew that call and they spent the next 5 minutes trying to make up for it. And they totally distorted the rhythm of the game.
Yeah. They took the whole rhythm out with all the T's and everything. It was just crazy.
Carl, give me your thought, man. You saw it. What'd you think?
Man, this is early season basketball, Larry. The NBA needs certain lines. They need certain storylines. They know the Warriors are kind of feeling their way into the early season. They want to find out what they can see from their young guns. Clay, let's be honest, he didn't get a chance to play open gym during the offseason. This is the kind of thing that happens in open gym all the time. So I thought he was just having a little fun with Booker. Booker came back at him. Needless to say, that competitive spirit kicked in. And then maybe Book said something a little bit below the belt. And on a Tuesday night, early in the season, getting out the gym early, Clay can go and get some good dinner tonight.
Keeping it in perspective, Bay Area baller, give me your thoughts. I mean, and do you agree with my assessment that the game seemed to pivot there and the momentum swing was right there?
Oh, absolutely. And this was the most pissed off I've ever seen Klay Thompson. I think the only time I've seen Klay upset, one time Zach Collins got under his skin 3 or 4 years ago, and but that was the most pissed off I've ever seen Klay. Booker said something to him is what I'm guessing. Now, the only play or the interaction between the two during the lead up was Booker rose up for a three, right? And Klay swatted it away as he was. And then there was some jawing and it just escalated from there. But I agree with you, Larry. Ed Malloy, shame on you. You are now on my shit list of NBA referees. And it's a short list, fellas. It's Scott Foster, Mark Davis, and now Ed Malloy, because that was a quick ejection. Like Clay never gives the
season for the refs too.
I mean, this is YouTube. You can say it. What do you think he said there? What gets you run by Ed Malloy? Because I mean, come on, Ed Malloy. I mean, that was a terrible one. And Klay Thompson's usually pretty. I mean, what's he gonna say? You blew the effing call. I mean, yeah. I thought Draymond had a great beef. And he said you have way too fast.
I think he said something like you have no Pasquale.
Bay Area baller though, keep going. I cut you off.
Yeah. So. No. Ed Malloy, I thought he blew it with the quick tee. And then fellas, really, even before the lead up to the third quarter, the Warriors have given up 70 points in the last 3 first halves. I mean, what's going on with this defense? I mean, the defense. The rotations are poor, and I thought we played the pick and roll terribly tonight, and that's where Wiseman did some good things, but when he was on the court, I noticed the Phoenix Suns, they were attacking him with the pick and roll. So that's something, we got to keep our eye on moving forward, how Wiseman can handle the pick and roll. But the defense, I'm wondering, Mike Brown going to the Sacramento Kings, I know he was a big defensive guy last year, and I'm wondering – what kind of impact does Mike Brown leaving going to Sacramento is that causing this defense?
Well, the question would be then, Bay Area baller, why did his team give up 89 the other night in the first half? So, it just happens. None of these teams are ready. Let's be honest. The exhibition season's fairly short. The time for the Warriors to get ready for a season is a short summer. I think the real storyline is, hey, what would get under any of our goats that might cause us to get ejected from a game? I'm gonna throw it to my boy Big Red. What could somebody say, Red, that might get a bounce out of you?
Somebody's gonna take my money. That's about it. If I'm on the court and my concentration level allows me to be, deterred by another player, then I shouldn't be out there. I'm gonna give my high school coach props for that. You guys making some interesting comments, and I was thinking about a couple of things. Draymond is really the defensive captain, and early on in the season, I'm wondering if there's any lingering effect from what took place with Jordan, because as a defensive captain on the floor, you got to snap at guys sometimes to make sure that they're in position. And when you look at the outrageous scoring numbers of the opposition, they don't appear to be that tight. And if they are, then ultimately whatever happened in the past is going to have to stay in the past, and they're going to have to start holding each other accountable. It can't be the coach, Steve Kerr, doing that. And also from a referee standpoint, they're human. They got TVs. They saw the tape. And I'm wondering if they are kind of antsy with regards to Draymond as well and hold him back, because that non-call on the drive to the basket, that was obvious. And it's almost like they were just kind of, testing him. Is he really going to go off? Because we didn't make the obvious call. So you got all of these little subtleties happening early in the season, and it has to be thinking about how the Warriors are going to evolve from this point, because defensively, they're just a shell of themselves right now.
Yeah, you also
and also they're not also the factor in the paint too, I think has got to be mentioned here. I mean, Phoenix 62-48 plus 14 points in the paint. Who won on the glass?
Jock Landale's got to get some love, man.
Who won on the glass? It was Phoenix. It was Phoenix. They were plus 8 on the glass. So they won inside tonight. And that's, to me, the one thing about that they're going to miss about Peyton. And I feel like I'm going to talk about this a lot this year because I think he's such an underrated player. But we talk about his defense, but also he would give you some points in the paint. He could finish inside against bigger players. And to take him away, it'll be interesting to follow this year how they do on the glass, how they do defensively, and how they do as far as points in the paint, because that was a big advantage for Phoenix tonight.
The question regarding the technicals, what would cause someone to get technicals? You got someone on the New York style guest line in there that's, I think, competes with Draymond with tees. Steve, you've got quite a few tees in your career, I believe. What would get you hot at an official to get a tee, to take a tee like Kerr took tonight?
Well, it probably, I used to get mad at officials for not being in position and making calls they couldn't see and things of that nature. Hey, before I get going, I want to say hello to Carl, and I want to give Carl props for all of the years that he has supported youth basketball in the Bay Area. And Carl is not only knowledgeable about sports, but he gives a lot to young men. So, Carl, I want to give you your props for all the years that you've worked with young kids, young men. And, you've got great relationships. A lot of these Bay Area guys that have gone on to the NBA, you're close with all of them. So when Carl speaks about young people and their character or anything about them, he knows what he's talking about.
I appreciate that, Steve. The Mutual Respect Club extends all the way to Diablo Valley College. And I didn't know your brother, and now I know your brother. And I understand why you're so fiery, because he is so cool and so calm. You guys are like lightning and thunder.
Well, it's here's a lot of
you haven't heard me go off on Gabe Kapler much then, huh?
Seriously, you guys missed July, the 12 days of Mike Trout trade rumors.
Well, let me finish up on the officials in a way. Yeah. A lot of it's like anything. There's relationships that are built. You end up seeing the same officials a number of times in the season. If you coach a long time, you see these guys, and sometimes there's clashes in personalities, and officials are human, and they may make a call against you in the clutch that you really question whether they're doing it on purpose or not. But ultimately, officials are like police officers. They have the whistle, they control things, they make the final decisions. And so I learned as the years went on to, build good relationships with officials. And a lot of times guys get technical fouls Sometimes on purpose, maybe occur tonight, but most of the time, technical fouls are given when coaches speak in a disrespectful way, and they're directing at the person. Not so much where they're questioning calls, but they're going to say something personal, or they're going to say something derogatory, or they're going to use language that's just an automatic T.
Give us an example of one of your famous T's. What would you say to an official?
Go ahead.
What would you say to some of the officials? What that got you teed up?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, as my career went on, I didn't get that many technical fouls. I got, I got when I first started at De La Salle, and I was 24 and I was young. But by the time I left De La Salle, and after 5 years, you don't get as much. When I started my first year at DVC, I got 18 technical fouls in one season, but that was because we weren't very good, and I was getting on them, and they, I was just a young guy coming up. But towards the end, I got a lot of leeway with guys because I wouldn't speak to them in a personal, derogatory way. I would just speak about the play, or I would ask them to be watching the certain things. And, I coach my team. I might get on an official, but I turn around and coach my team right away. Some coaches have a tendency to ride officials on and on and on. And those guys are the guys that get teased pretty quickly because the referees have realized that the coach is really not coaching their team. They're just spending most of their time getting on the officials.
Coach, before we let you go, we will let you go because we're going to definitely pick your brain a lot this year, but we got a packed house tonight. We'll try to get everybody in and get everybody's perspective. But one guy I got to ask you about tonight. If you watch this game, Moses Moody is going to have a really, really nice year. He played off the bench tonight, 4 of 9 from the field, 3 of 4 from the line, hit half his threes, 3 rebounds, 3 block shots, made some big shots. I thought played aggressive. There was one play where the ball was in the open floor and he just kind of went for it, ripped it away from the Phoenix defender and made a shot. I think as this season wears on, Kerr is going to lean on him more. I think he's going to become a major part of the rotation. I think Moody, Wiseman's damn good, and Kuminga is going to have incredible nights. But as far as the guy who really has kind of a veteran's game that I expect to bust out, I'm going with Moses Moody. Give me your thoughts on Moody tonight.
Well, I've been impressed with Moses Moody, and you got to remember he played on Baylor's national championship team.
Or Arkansas.
There's a big difference
Arkansas,
between, there's a big difference between Kuminga, who really did not, compete and obviously didn't go to college. But I mean, he really doesn't have that much game experience in terms of really being coached, practice day in and day out, dealing with strategy. Moody's fundamentally sound. He can shoot. He's mentally tough. You can tell already. And that Baylor team, he was a big part. And that was a great championship team.
He was actually with Arkansas, Steve.
No, he was a muscleman at Arkansas. But yeah,
you're thinking of Mitchell.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Who did they take? Did they take a kid from Baylor?
Sacramento.
David Mitchell. Yeah, he was incredible. He's kind of like almost like a mini Draymond. He was just as far as you can feel the will of Davion Mitchell. I think he's going to be a terrific player for the Kings the rest of the year.
Oh, my mistake. Right. He was the kid at Arkansas.
Point still holds.
I think you're right on target. And coming out of Musselman's, Eric Musselman's a great coach. He develops players.
I know. And when I talked to him, I said, Mus, what do you think of Moody? And he's like, well, he's going to defer this year. He's really going to defer. And this was last year. And of course he did. I mean, he deferred. You could argue to almost he over deferred, but now it's just he's such a respectful guy. This year he's going to explode because his game has polish. And now he knows exactly the flow and everything. I think he's going to bust out. Coach, we'll let you go. Have a phenomenal night. Thanks for your perspective.
Okay. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Steve.
Good night, Coach.
What'd you guys think of Moody tonight? And what'd you think of Kuminga as well? Because they both had their moments.
I wrote Moody positive.
I like Moody. As Steve was saying, I think he's polished. He's more of a, as a 20-year-old is what His game is definitely ahead of Kuminga's. Kuminga has the superior raw talent, and I think you're going to see Kuminga. I do still believe, and I was talking to Steve about this the other day. He kind of thinks that Kuminga will go down to the G League when available, and then to get more minutes, and then come back up to play with the Warriors. Not to be sent down to the G League, but just to get minutes like they did with Poole. Send him down for a Saturday game when the Warriors are off, and then the Warriors have a home game on a Sunday. That type of thing, just to keep Kuminga fresh. I think where Kuminga has to develop his game is on the defensive end. He's going to need to give that spark defensively to play in Kerr's lineup, to get into the rotation, to get in Steve Kerr's good graces, you might say, is you got to play defense. And if you're not playing defense, you're not going to get the minutes. And I think you'll see Kuminga rise to the occasion because he's competitive, he's very, very athletic, and he has the ability to do it. A lot of times it's just, staying focused. And I think that's where Kuminga is going to have to grow this year, is defensively. And I think he will. It's like Carl said, we're talking game 4. These guys didn't start really. They start mid-September camp, and then they go to Japan, and that messes you.
All right. Sometimes we got to put a time limit on Dan. His answer went too long. So Dan, you're back in the penalty box for at least 5 minutes just on the length of that answer in a live stream with 6 people and Cyrus Satsis in the house as well. If I had a gigantic X, I would put it over Dan, like right there, so everybody would see the mute. It would be more shameful. It wouldn't just
fun to do this like around the horn style or something. Like
it would be awesome. Seriously, or make Dan a cartoon for like a second. Just let him sit there frozen. One of those. All right, Dan, we're just joking, but you need to shut the fuck up.
No, you're not. But it's okay.
If I had a shut the fuck up button, I would just hit the shut the fuck button, but I don't, so I'll just mute. All right. On that note, we got some people's lines now failing. So that's what happened. This is what happens. I talk down to Dan, and the internet gets me. All right, but
well, I'm back. I'm going to talk about Moses Moody. Now, I thought Moody, you guys are right. I thought Moody played really well, not only offensively, but defensively.
Whoa.
I liked what I saw from Moses Moody on the defensive side of the ball. And Kuminga's he's an exciting prospect. You want him to bring the energy when he's on the court. The one thing I feel like he needs to improve on is the handle. I think he's got a bit of a loose handle. And I want to ask Carl, how do you feel about Kuminga's handle? And is that something that you can see developing, throughout the season?
The development part, Barry, a baller, is really it's a 2-part piece. And there was something Steve said that I think was in context, because one of the beauties that Steve has had, Coach Coccimilgio, is when you're in the college environment is such a different development system than the pro environment. Kuminga did get good coaching from Brian Shaw and his staff. They have excellent people, but that environment at the Ignite team is really based on getting you the exposure to how the pro game is played. So for somebody like Jonathan Kuminga, the pro game, you really don't have to have the tightest of handle when you're playing wing, because most of the time he's going to get the ball running up one of the wings, or he's going to push it himself. He's really going straight line, kind of like what Draymond does. He's never probably going to be that guy who's going to be making a lot of snatch dribbles and pullbacks and all the creative stuff we see the elite scorers do. But he will be able to use his cunning and his speed and his agility to get to the basket. I think the biggest thing that he's coming into is that he's not being allowed to play freestyle basketball. He is having to conform to probably, if we're honest, the most complex system in the NBA offensively. And so for him, the learning curve is going to be a little bit longer. But imagine him playing in OKC or him playing even in Sacramento. He'd get so much more rope. He'd probably average about 15 a game. because he just would be on the floor so much. So I think he's going to be fine over time, but I think this learning curve is going to be huge, and it's going to be exciting to watch what happens at the tail end if he just keeps listening.
Agreed.
Hey, we're this was game 4 actually today. 4 games into the season now. Let's go around the room and just give us, everybody give their thoughts on the Warriors 4 games in. You missed it, Cy, but I thought so far one of the stronger comments was Bay Area Baller. Well, besides me telling Dan to shut the fuck up, was Bay Area Baller, who was talking about the Warriors defensive rotations. And I think Ray Ritter, the great Ray Ritter, had the line had the stat, I should say, first time in Warriors history that the Warriors have given up 70 points in the
in 3 straight games?
3 straight first halves. 3 straight first halves. Yeah. So they've gotten boat raced as far as defensive rotations, and Bay Area Baller brought that up. But Cy, we'll start with you. We'll go all around the room. So far, we'll go.
Well, first of all,
we'll go up here. We'll hang a left. We'll go that way.
First of all,
go ahead, Si.
Is telling coach shut the fuck up? Is that just exclusive to you, Larry, or can we all do it? What's the rule there?
It's a total. Yeah, you can tell. I mean, I wouldn't say it to Red because Red would crush us. But
of course.
Besides Red, also Dan, has a lot of money, so he could probably pay someone to have us bumped. So maybe those 2 guys I would probably stay away from.
A lot of brothers too.
So I'm
people.
I'm recording the Wednesday episode of Locked On Warriors soon. As soon as Kevin Dana, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, is available, I'm going to jump out for a bit, do it, and you guys will come back.
Let's spread out and let Cy cook.
But I bring that up because
multiple gigs going at one time. I mean,
yeah, it's a busy night.
You're a Warrior mogul. I mean, it's just
fine, man. I don't know about that.
Incredible. It's amazing what you've become. Okay,
but look, no, the theme of tonight's show is going to be I'm going to overreact, and I'm going to have Kevin Dana be the voice of pragmatism and reason. And here are my overreactions for tonight.
I'm going to write them down. I got a pen. I'm going to write down the Cy overreactions. Here we go.
Because it's only game 4, and anything we say right now is an overreaction. It really is. But Jonathan Kuminga making his first appearance at the 3-minute mark of the third quarter. That's a good cause for concern. Like I do not understand why Steve Kerr is waiting that long to play him. And the main reason why, I mean, a lot of people will say, well, where do you find the minutes, right? And that's a legitimate question. Kevon Looney his one glaring weakness is defending bigs who have a great post game. We saw him get eaten alive in the first round by Jokic. DeAndre Ayton was destroying him tonight. Looney just for some reason cannot stop those guys who could just back themselves up to the basket and just score at will. And they can't against him for some reason. So that's where Wiseman could have seen more minutes. And I feel like Kuminga could have eaten up some minutes there. So that's one overreaction. What's going on with Kuminga? I don't think you send him to Santa Cruz because his psyche is something that you don't want to mess with in a negative way. Even if it means he's playing more, I don't like the message you're sending to Jonathan Kuminga that, hey,
you don't think he needs minutes? He needs minutes. He needs minutes.
Well, give the minutes with the Warriors. You can do that. I just mentioned, Kevon Looney's one. Ty Jerome should not have been playing tonight. I do not understand that move. And that leads to overreaction.
Is that Lacob's nephew or something? I mean, I liked him at Virginia. But
that leads to overreaction number 2 is Quindary Weatherspoon. Is there some buyer's remorse for picking Ty Jerome over Quindary Weatherspoon when the Warriors' biggest issue right now defensively is the perimeter? Quindary could have helped there. I never liked letting him go in the first place. I thought he was worthy of a guaranteed deal. So I'm going to overreact to that and see what
Kevin Dana has to say. You want more Quindary Weatherspoon, but he's where now?
He's nowhere. He's in street clothes.
He's at 24-hour fitness in Alameda. I mean, is he just hanging out?
I don't know if you saw him in ring night. It was depressing, man. He had just plain clothes and
I'll say this: he's an exceptional athlete, runner, jumper, rebounder, defender. I would like to have a guy like that. Especially without Gary Payton, I'd like to have a guy like that as an athlete.
And then here's one more, and I'll leave this to the crew because I think this is a really interesting and important talking point. Is Draymond Green on the decline? Draymond Green did not do well tonight against DeAndre Ayton. He didn't do well tonight when the Suns brought that other big I never heard of in my life. And
Doc Landale out of St. Mary's.
Landale, yeah, who the hell is this guy? But he was playing good.
Landale.
Jock
Landale.
Great. And Draymond Green, look, I feel like the regression is pretty obvious now defensively. I there's a reason I think why he's focused.
So you trading Draymond Green now? Are you trading him?
So your thoughts? That's what
I'm trading Draymond Green now.
I don't know. What are you getting from
I think
him?
Aiton's like what?
I think he's seen us up to embrace debate.
Pretty tough to guard the guy down there in the paint.
But Draymond,
he is a monster body, and when Red, when I'm watching the big man Ayton, he when he gets position, I mean, you're done. You might as well just
you're done. You're cooked.
Because they were giving
6'6".
entry passes not just to Ayton, to other guys, 3 feet away from the bucket. If you're gonna catch a pass in the lane 3 feet away from the bucket, good luck stopping that. And I thought the Warriors needed to defend the entry pass better than their, certain spots you're just giving up buckets or you're sending a guy to the foul line. And Ayton is just a bigger bodied guy. I agree with Cy. I would have liked to seen a few more minutes for Wiseman on him, just to try to make him, shoot that hook, that little baby hook over Wiseman.
No,
What'd you think, Fred?
Well, that's a great point. I mean, people expect Draymond to be able to guard 7-foot centers. Most of the guys that he guards successfully at that size are not real good offensive players. DeAndre Ayton was a number 1 player in high school, the number 1 pick overall. He just got a $150 million contract, $70 million, whatever it was. This kid's a player. I've stood next to Draymond. He's 6'7". I thought I'm gonna take up the Draymond a little bit. I thought he played a nice floor game tonight, and more times than not,
I thought he looked good on offense.
Yeah, right. So I mean, this idea.
I made money. I took Draymond over 7 points. He scored 14.
This notion that Draymond Green is somehow declining, I don't see it, to be quite honest with you.
I didn't see it at all.
Kuminga was conspicuous by his lack of playing time because Steve Kerr is not a BS guy. When they break the tape down and when he starts talking about energy last game, he's talking about Kuminga. So he's trying to send a message to this guy. Sending him down to the G League, I think, is a mistake. I think what he needs to do, and this is where Draymond comes into play, because Draymond is like, yo, dude, get your you-know-what together. You need that guy in practice. It can't be the coaches. Right now, if he was a student and you were grading Kuminga, he'd get maybe a C+. Now, I don't want to take up all the time, but in practice, he needs to get himself together because he's not making the fundamental plays. They missed Juan Toscano Anderson. They thought Kuminga could do all that stuff, and thus far, he's not. I think that's the real problem to me.
Yeah, my point on the G League is they're not going to send him down because of the demotion. He's 20 years old and he needs to play basketball. So they just I think they'll send him down for spot games, like they did with Poole at times or Moody last year, just to get him. Moody went down last year, scored 35, 37 points, then came up and took the game up.
But you don't want him to get hurt. There's a possibility he could get hurt. They need him now. And what they're asking him to do, he's not going to learn in the G League. They're asking him to box out, run from baseline to baseline, be physical, put physicality into his defense, don't watch the ball. All these fundamental things that they're doing in practice every day. He needs to get his stuff together. I'm playing in the G League.
Let me add this real quick with Kuminga. He's never going to. First of all, you can't send him down to the G League because if you send him down and not Moody, even though you're telling him this is not a demotion, in his head he's going to see all the writing on the wall. It just would be a horrible message to send to him and damage his psyche. But how is he going to develop his game if you don't play him? And the fact that they didn't bring him in
until the G League is for, though, and guys aren't playing?
But again, Dan, that's a demotion. Regardless of how you spell it out,
I don't see it as a demotion. I see it as a development.
You're messing with him. And here's the other thing. If Kuminga does not live up to some of the potential this year, the Warriors do not repeat as world champions. When you gave up Gary Payton II, when you gave up Otto Porter, and Bielitsa went back close to his family in Europe, Kuminga has to play better. Has to. This is not a world championship team if Kuminga doesn't improve. I mean, you look at his averages right now, and he's regressing from where he was 4 games into a regular season a year ago. I don't want to see regression in a sophomore season. There's a concern there. That is a legitimate concern. I don't think that's an overreaction. So.
I agree with you.
It's going to be interesting. This is going to be Kerr's. There's always challenges. And, this is going to be a huge challenge for Kerr to balance out the minutes and bring everybody along and not leave anybody behind and develop some really young, raw players and win games. Now, the part of the equation that if I'm, run the show, I'm saying, you know what, who cares, would be the winning games part. And I know that sounds crazy because it's pro sports, but nothing means less than these NBA regular season games.
True.
I'm just bringing my guys along. I don't care about the wins and the losses. I really don't. I know that sounds stupid, but this team's going to win a title if they're in rhythm and playing well and healthy, when the playoffs start. It doesn't matter if they're the 2 seed, the 5 seed, the 7 seed, 8 seed, the play in. I don't think it matters. It really doesn't. The difference in between what it takes is not that much difference. We're talking about a few extra road games. If you're good enough, you're good enough. I personally think the most important thing is keep everybody going and somehow figure out these minutes. Maybe you start Kuminga because you can get him some minutes and get him in rhythm, and you've got some more mature players that can handle coming off the bench maybe better. I think you got to consider all of your options. That's all I'm saying, because he's a major talent, and I agree with the notion not to send him to the G League, not because I don't agree with Danny. I think he does need run, but he needs more structure than I think he's going to get in the G League, and he needs to play. He needs to learn how to blend to this group, not just pile up garbage stats on lesser athletes at a lower level. So
here's
that's
the thing
my
you
thought.
have to think about, Larry, and I'll just say this to the group. At the pro level, you cannot give minutes. You must take minutes. And in the Warrior system, to take those minutes that we all want to see him get, we all want to see him develop. All of us are 100% behind seeing the kid get to the place to where he becomes an outstanding NBA forward. But Steve Kerr and his staff, they have to regulate where's this guy's awareness, where's this guy's stickability. I heard a term fairly recently that really, I'm sure your brother Dan, Steve, would love this. It was called winningness, not willingness, your winningness. What are you willing to do that helps us win? When I look at Jonathan Kuminga, the first thing I look at when I'm watching to see, does he sprint the wings if he doesn't have the ball? The second thing I look at, does he go and find a body every time a shot goes up when he's on defense? And the third thing I look at is, does he look to go set those secondary screens like we see every other player on the Warriors do? And very rarely do I see him set those screens and actually catch a body. Some of those little things, I've never seen him take a charge. Those are the things that are going to take minutes on a veteran team, because that's what they're going to need when they get 30, 40, 50 games into the regular season. They need a guy who's 100% meshed into how they play, and he's earned it, because they tried that with James Wiseman his rookie year to give him minutes, and it backfired, because that's just not the way you're eventually going to get the best out of a young player.
I see two guys. I'm just in charge. Ryan, I want you to jump in. But two guys I see. I see Josh Howard, the Wake Forest kid, as far as, potential similarities. And then also, if he could do, if I were Kerr, I would give Jonathan Kuminga a tape of Shane Battier, because he's a better athlete than Shane Battier. But all those things that Battier used to do that contributed to winning, Kuminga's out there and he could do them, but doesn't. And I just think that
he played 4 years of college basketball. He averaged 40 games a year. He had 160 college games under his belt.
Yeah, he was a total veteran. Compared to Kuminga, yeah, he needs. But don't you think he could take those charges? He can beat guys to spots. He can be a defensive menace, but he's got to, he's got to these are nuances of the game, and and he's 19. I mean, he's going to get there. He's going to be there by 22. It's just not there right now at 19.
Taking a charge is not a nuance. Blocking out is not a nuance. Setting a screen is not a nuance. Those are primary, fundamental basketball skills.
Fair.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
Very true.
I think that's a great thing you brought up about Wiseman, about how they did just kind of give minutes to Wiseman, and about how I do like that they're taking this approach. It's like, what's that old coaching thing? It's like you're either coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. So Steve Kerr's coaching it. And the topic I wanted to kind of move into, because another thing that I wouldn't say it's concerning necessarily, but I was sort of hoping Jordan Poole might even take another step this year, especially with the big contract, and I don't know, maybe take a little pressure off Steph running the offense. He looks just at times he starts like, if this was like NBA 2K on the Xbox, he looks like he's just spamming the controller. He looks like he's a little out of rhythm and kind of forcing it, and not really looking for other guys. So I want everyone's thoughts on that.
I thought he played a flawless first half. He was outstanding.
First half was great.
So I was watching him very closely because he played a great game last time out, scoring over 20 points. He appears to be receptive to coaching, so I'm not worried about him. I think he needs to be coached up, certainly on the defensive end. But I like what I saw from him in the first half. He's not a great defender. I don't know if he'll ever be a great defender, but he looked pretty good the first half. I'm not overly concerned.
I totally agree with you. It's more for me is like, it's just like that's the next step for him. I feel like is putting it together, consistently putting a full game together. And the first half's great, but then it's like, and then it's okay to play, pretty good in the second half, but just don't have those, go into those funks.
I think he's stepping around Clay also though, because in his mind, he thinks that, I should be out there. When Clay wasn't playing last year, I averaged damn near 20 a game, and now I have to kind of skirt around that. Kerr is good at coaching offensive players up, so he's pushing him to give him more. But I think in his own mind, he's kind of dancing around, stepping up with a more leadership role.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I think you're right. Anybody else have
Harry Waller, jump in there, man. What do you got?
Yeah, I thought Jordan Poole was in his bag in that second quarter. We saw the movie put on Damian Lee, put him on skates, got the layup. But I know what you mean, right? Because sometimes Jordan Poole, he does kind of dominate the ball with those dribble moves. But, man, sometimes they look good. And he's creating space. So I like what I saw from Jordan Poole. And I think Red's right. The defensive side is what I'm keeping my eye on with Jordan Poole, because there was times last season in the playoffs where, Poole's minutes were down. I feel like he was playing in the teens at times in the playoffs last year, and that was due to his defensive deficiencies. And Laird, to get back to a question you proposed a little bit ago, just how the Warriors have played through these first 4 games.
Yeah.
The Warriors are the champs. They're getting every team's best punch again, right? We know
they're going to get everybody's A game.
That's how it goes. And Devin Booker, as soon as the post-game interview started with Chris Haynes, he's talking to Devin Booker. He says, hey, these are the champs. We wanted to go out and perform well. And that's how it's going to be every night. So the Warriors better come in prepared and with that mindset that the opponent is going in to knock off the champs.
Yeah. Do you hear what he said? He said, I love Klay Thompson. I want to be Klay Thompson. But apparently Clay just kept saying 4 rings. And if you remember last year in the playoffs, there was that, when they were playing Boston, he was getting a little sensitive at the stand. It's kind of I don't know, maybe it's just Clay's, he's getting older, he's getting a little goofier, but I do think that there's going to be a slight subplot of the season where look, tonight he got frustrated. A big part of that was Jordan Poole had a great first half. He was 1 for 8. So I think there's going to be a little bit of that and a little bit of that sounds a little bit like overcompensate. It's dude, everyone knows you've won 4 rings, Clay. Everyone knows you're the man. Everyone knows you're a Hall of Famer. But I think it's kind of that feeling okay, you got the young buck coming up. So I think that's another subplot.
What do you think of Nick's comment? He says, what's up with Clay? He seems a bit off. He lost his cool tonight. Long term, I don't know if I extend him when he's up. Clay's everybody's favorite. I mean, he's a Bay Area, probably one of the most popular athletes in the history of the Bay Area. And I think he's got more improvement coming off the injury than we've seen thus far. I really think he's going to get to another level than we've seen. So I feel very confident that, they're going to the finish line with Steph. I don't know about Clay and I don't know about Draymond. History says they don't go to the finish line with that many players. And when I say that, I mean, have them all the way till the end of their career. What do you guys think? Is Draymond and Clay, do you think that the Warriors go to the finish line? Is it official now with Draymond that they won't? And then we've got a guy in here in the chat, Brandon Millard, who remember the big guy for St. Mary's, Millard? Didn't they used to have a gigantic big man, Millard? He says, do you think the Warriors will make any trades this season? Well, we're way early on that, of course, but what do you think as far as Draymond and Clay, as far as, is this something you think they're going to finish as Warriors? Do you think they're going to move on at some point? How do you guys see the tail end of their careers with Golden State? Do you think will they finish as a Warrior?
I want to hear actually everyone else's thoughts because I really don't have much of an opinion. I do have a feeling that maybe it's going to be like San Antonio where, Curry's Duncan finishes, then Manu like one of the two is like going to be Manu and just finish it in San Antonio. One of them might have a really weird year where Tony Parker goes to Charlotte and everyone just forgets that it happened.
What do you guys think, Red? Where do you think Draymond and Clay finish? Do they finish as Warriors? Do they move on? How do you see it?
I think if they give in some, they have the potential to finish as Warriors. I actually sent out a tweet, I want to say 2 days ago. I was just thinking about it. This is the time in which Iguodala moved to the six-man role. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but if Klay Thompson wants to be with the Warriors, he might consider accepting a six-man role where he can come in and really focus on the offense. I think Klay's greatness has been as a two-way player, but he's clearly not the same defensive player that he was before all these injuries. But he can still shoot the ball. So if he's willing to take a lesser role, maybe less money, then I think he could finish. With regards to Draymond, I think it's the same thing. I don't think he's going to get a max contract, but if he's willing to go, a couple of years beyond this, maybe at X amount of dollars that is feasible for both parties, he can finish as a Warrior. So I think it's going to come down to money and massaging egos. If they can do that, they got a shot. Otherwise, they got to transition out and give some of these young guys some time.
Carl, what do you think?
I agree with Red. I think any what I call traditional player, a player who was drafted in an organization, stays there for more than probably about 12 years, it really comes down to, are you willing to be moldable in terms of what the role that the team would need at the advancing years of your career? Now, if you're still able to average 18, 19 points a game, guess what? You can continue to be a scorer. If you're somebody that does a lot of the intangibles like Draymond would be valuable if he's a starter, if he's a role player, if he's at the end of the bench, because he's one of the smartest guys to ever play basketball. So it's really going to come down to where they want to see their legacies in terms of the place in which they would be asked by the coaching staff to play. And if they want to complete that journey of saying, hey, I spent 17 years, 18 years in a Warrior jersey, they clearly could do it, but it just means you have to prepare yourself for maybe some potential changes.
One thing I wanted to throw out here, just for those all the home teams won tonight, by the way. Washington beat Detroit. Kuzma had 25. New Orleans beat Dallas 113-111. Trey Murphy had a huge night. 22 for him, and then Luka had 37, 11, and 7 in the loss for Dallas. And then OKC beat the Clippers. I don't know if you guys saw that, 108-94. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander had 33. He's nice. He's
got to
really
get
nice
off that team. Like it's like it's getting to a point where it's like, Shea, dude, like he's a great player. And if I'm him, it's like, how many more years am I just going to be balling out like this, just in anonymity as my team tries to lose? Like it's seriously, it's getting to a point where I don't think anyone could fault him for asking for a trade. Throwing that out there.
Yeah.
So far though, I mean, interesting start for Golden State in that I think it's like Kerr, like, it's funny. I think he lets the group kind of organically come together, and he doesn't try to do too much in camp, and they're more advanced as they go. And it's like, he asks more and more from them as the season goes on. And he kind of freely admitted, going in several of his sit downs with the media in the last couple of weeks that, hey, this first part of the year, we're going to get our rotations in order. We're going to see how guys play together. It's like this. He almost kind of said, he didn't say, hey, by the way, October and November are throwaway months, but he might as well have said October and November are kind of like throwaway months. We're just going to kind of see how all the pieces fit around our stars and blend the whole thing together and, kind of see what we got. And we got some new faces. He was totally non-committal and totally willing to like come out and say, hey, you know what? We're not where we're going to be. And I just think there's so many coaches that are so fearful of putting their cards on the table that way. And I think that's refreshing. I think it's honest. And I think the one thing that is interesting about the NBA guys, and I want your thoughts on this, is that there's like two things you got to handicap. You got to handicap who's got the best players when you're trying to decide who's going to win, right? Who's got the best players? But then like a series of these teams are going to get united by this journey. And then like, I would say a handful of these teams are going to fracture and they're going to start pointing the fingers. So it's a lot about not just how do the games mesh or how does your individual games mesh? It's about how do the guys in the room mesh? And I just feel like Phoenix is an example. It's like, it's not really about what they did tonight. They've got championship caliber core. They went to the finals. They're a championship caliber team. The question is, it's October 25th and they're not going to be playing the finals till like June or whatever. Are those guys going to all be, on the same page doing their thing for money in May and June? And like, that's not like an automatic, yep, no question they are. You don't know. The team may grow apart. They may not gel. They may fight. It happens all the time. So, it's a very interesting league because Kerr is so good at taking the team from A to Z and bringing everybody along and managing the egos and managing the Jordan Poole, Draymond Green type, as Kerr would call it, crisis that you run into. And I just think that that's an art form. That's what Phil does. That's probably what all the best coaches do. They coach and they get what they want out of their players. They bring everybody along. And if you got everybody pulling on the same end of the rope and you're healthy in April and May, and you got a chance to win the title. I mean, isn't that kind of the game plan? That seems like, to me, the greatness of Kerr. Give me your guys' thoughts. Anybody?
I would agree with you. Kerr is a master manager, and a lot of times coaches are not looked upon as managers, but Kerr is great at that. But he needs assistant managers, and that's where like the voice, within the locker room really steps up. I mean, we can remember a couple of years ago when Steph Curry really started to emerge as an above average defensive player. I don't see that right now. And I just point back to Draymond. Draymond is so important to this team because he raises the level of expectations for his teammates. And when you consider this team giving up 70 points for 3 straight games, they ain't listening to the coach. They're not. So I think that they will pull it together, but it's going to happen in the locker room because right now I think there's still like a hazy cloud above this team where they're not really comfortable getting on each other the way they have to take their games to the next level.
I love that you keep hampering on that idea because I don't think that's being talked about. That's like a very good, unique perspective. I also just think it comes back to what we were saying earlier. Like it just feels like an open gym on defense a little bit. And if you look around the league, there's teams that are playing hard. I mean, I guess you could say that's where they're really missing a guy like GP2 because GP2 gets it, he was out there trying to earn his money, and the way he does that is by competing on defense. Even when it's whatever random game of the regular season, competing defense at 100% on every play, and they definitely miss that sort of tone setter to go along with Draymond. I mean, I haven't really been noticing like Wiggins. It seems like Wiggins has played pretty well on defense, and honestly, I feel like it's pretty it's felt, at least to me, a little bit like the finals carryover, where it's kind of felt like Wiggins is the second banana right now. I don't know if anyone else feels like that.
I think Wiggins, I've never seen Wiggins look quite as good as this. I just think there's a comfort to his game. I love how to me, it's always been about go to the glass, and he's got great length, great defensive ability. But now I think after the championship, he plays with pace. And I think he's going to have a great year. I just love the way he plays in traffic with the ball. There was a sequence tonight, guys, in the second half where he took a nice little dribble in traffic and then rose up over the defender and just knocked it down. And it's like he'd rim that out so many times, just gripping it, wanting it, because he's such a good kid. And he's just had this like hunger and he was just not comfortable. But now he's gotten his contract. He's got settled in. He's on a franchise. He knows his role. He's won a ring. He's been validated. He understands the growth in his game that took him to this next level. And I think you're getting a better rebounder, a smarter defender, and a guy who plays with like this unbelievable calm and pace. I love Wiggins' game right now. I think Wiggins is easily the most improved player from last year to this year.
Faith.
Yeah, no, I agree, Larry. I think Wiggins is playing really well. He's playing with a freeness. There's a freeness to his game where there's no hesitation. If he's open, he's letting it fly. He's attacking the rim. He is playing deep. But Ryan, I like the theory you were going with. It feels like we're just coasting on defense. We're kind of just coasting on D. But here's the thing, fellas. We know come playoff time where each possession is under the magnifying glass, and the game just kind of slows down, right, during the playoffs. I have a feeling this Warriors team is going to be ready to roll. They'll have some of these defensive deficiencies ironed out. So, it's a long season. There's a lot of things to improve. I think offensively, we're looking pretty good. In the first half, we had 66 points, and then we had the slow third quarter. But offensively, through 4 games, I think we're playing well. There's some work to be done on the defensive end, and I think we'll get there. But hey, I'm going to get out of here. But I want to thank Larry. Thanks for having me on. Nice chatting with all you guys. Red, nice meeting with you, Dan, Ryan, Carl. I had a blast, and hey, catch y'all next time.
All right. Talk to you next time.
Take care.
Bay Area Baller. Out.
Yeah, I'll say this about the Warriors, the situation where they have always been known as the team to break the 30 assist mark. And the last 3 games against Denver, they gave up 30. Against Sacramento, they gave up 31. And tonight, they gave up 31. They've given up 92 assists in the last 3 games, and they've actually had 83 of their own. So they're getting out past. They're not running the offense. Like you mentioned it, Rye, kind of you see Jordan there kind of like playing a remote game. He's just dribbling the ball. The Warriors game is ball movement and player movement. And that's what Kerr wants them to do. And when they got back into the game tonight, after being down by 10 at one point, and then they went on their runs, they were moving the ball. They were getting rebounds. They've also been out-rebounded in the last 3 games, 140 to 112. So they're not getting the boards. They're not getting the assist. So the best game they played was, against an inferior, horrible Laker team who, it was ring night. I think possibly this situation that happened with Draymond may have an after effect right now because you got a bunch of young guys that won a championship. They're a little starstruck. All of a sudden, they think maybe the league's kind of easy and everybody's gunning for them. And they kind of got flat-footed after that incident. It's got to have an effect on those guys because Draymond's always had the voice, right? He's getting in guys' ears, and he's probably having to watch how he says things now, and he maybe is not being himself, which is to just let it go. And because if he lets it go, he might, guys might not listen to him. So This is going to be Kerr's toughest coaching job, maybe in a long time, because he's going to have to coach this team into playing solid defense and run the offense.
I totally agree with you.
And I think the thing that we all have to look at, and we talked about it after game one, when you look at an 82-game NBA season, you have to break it down into segments. This first segment, anywhere from 25 to 30 games, if the Warriors can find a rhythm somewhere around game 16 to 18, and then they can find a way to find that flow and find their combinations that are going to be consistent, because they do have a lot of movement from last year's second unit to this year's second unit. If they can find that flow after 16 to 18 games, let's say after 16 to 18 games, they're somewhere like 13-5 or they're 12-6, whatever the magic number is, even 11-7, and they go on a 5 or 6 game winning streak. Maybe they go on another 4-game winning streak after losing one, those kinds of things. And then they get to the All-Star game, and they're clearly one of the top 3 teams in the Western Conference, top 4 teams at the worst. I think we'll all look back at this time and we'll see 2 things. Number one, we saw the evolution of James Wiseman and his ability to impact NBA games. And number 2, we saw Draymond Green. And I like what you said, Red. Draymond Green did something tonight that people keep saying he cannot do, which is score. Draymond is finding a way to knock down at least one open tray ball. He's being aggressive going to the basket. And when he sees the opportunity to turn the corner in the half-court set, he's not thinking pass first. He's thinking shot first, pass second, which is going to be huge. If those things can happen, and then our young guys that are learning their roles, and I include DiVincenzo in that, even though he's a veteran, once he gets healthy, if he can learn his role on that second unit, we're going to have a team that's going to clearly be ready to compete. And we'll have a lot more fun watching the games versus wondering what's going to happen and what's the energy level and can Draymond speak his mind to his teammates and those kinds of things.
My only concern with this team really up right now is just that I thought they lost not only a defender in Peyton, a rebounder. And so it's like the one thing about this lineup, Green, Looney, Curry, Thompson, they're not the quickest guys to the basketball. So they're leaning on Wiggins to be that rebounder in this lineup. And he had 6 tonight. But like I'm looking at that second unit, Kuminga, Jermichael Green, James Wiseman, especially those 3 guys. Those 3 guys have got, I mean, they each pulled 3 boards tonight. I mean, they need somebody to go to the glass relentlessly. It doesn't have to be the same guy.
That's DiVincenzo. He's an outstanding rebounding guard.
And then that's the guy. But they need somebody to go to the glass because they miss Peyton on the glass. But also, I mean, I think if I'm Kuminga, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I can rebound the basketball and get on the glass. He should be a dominating defender and rebounder while his offensive game develops. And that's the area I'd like to see him just like take off in, because if he made it his personal mission to get every single rebound, he's such an elite athlete. I think you'd have a hard time. And he's just so, his ability to jump and his second jump so quick, he could dominate on the glass. But I mean, they've got to enforce that to him because they need that help on the glass without Peyton. They really do. They need another rebounder who can go on the glass and get it, because they don't I mean, a lot of their main guys are not the quickest to the ball.
That's a great point. And Kuminga actually had a 5-minute span in the third quarter that he played outstanding basketball. He actually was second and third jumping on missed shots. His energy level was higher. Again, he's just a guy that needs to be coached up, and he needs to commit himself to the things that you're talking about, Larry. If he just ran the court and rebounded, he would really impact the game. So I agree with you, and I think that he can do a lot more in those areas that could lead to helping his team win ball games.
I have the one thing I'm a little bit concerned about, and it is totally me being overreaction guy, but I do hear I've heard like Pat Riley and even Steve Kerr talk about the one thing about winning a championship. What makes it so difficult to repeat is it's like, especially for these guys, it's like they're on top of the world right now. Curry's a made man. All these guys are made men. It's kind of important to mix it up somehow. And they did this year. Like they brought in new guys off the bench, but to bring something in that's going to kind of stoke a fire for the season. Cause I worry a little bit that this may be the first kind of Dubs team since maybe the last KD year where they kind of coast and kind of feel like, oh, you know what, we can just turn the switch on. And I just don't want, I want to see them compete a little bit more during the regular season. I mean, even think about last year, they were 19-1 to start the season or something crazy. And they typically start pretty well. Anybody have any thoughts about that?
Well, think about this, Ryan. They were 18-2 after 20 games, right?
Yeah.
The year before, how many games did they win?
15 or something like that? Or
15.
Yeah.
They had something to prove.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That they don't have anything to prove right
and
now.
even after the year they won the championship, everyone's saying, oh, well, that wasn't legit. Kyrie, Kevin Love, they were out, blah, blah, blah. And they said, like, you know what? We're all young dudes. Like, yeah, maybe we got one a little early, but we're out to prove that, like, this is for real. Like, we're for real. So it just feels like they don't have that
and
kind
they
of
won
thing.
24 straight games under Luke Walton. And at the end of the season, they finished with an NBA record of 73 wins. And what was the final result?
Ran out of gas.
I mean, my only concern with this Warrior season is that all of us are going to struggle to do what Aaron Rodgers says so well. RELAX.
Danny,
Relax.
Where's the shirt? Danny's got the shirt on.
Can't wear it every day.
Hey, I love the fire that Clay brought tonight. On a night where he didn't have a great personal performance, he found a way to make himself get upset at something that might just fuel him for the next 6-7 games. You've got to play these little games as an athlete that's at the top of the totem pole. I mean, can you imagine what Floyd Mayweather had to tell himself about his opponents when he was undefeated for 50 fights? I mean, it's kind of hard. So I think they're going to enjoy this early part because they know they're going to get some billboard material for the middle of the season when the dog days really hit, when you get to game about number 50.
That's great spin zone right there. They're going to get bulletin board material by playing. I love that.
Okay, we're about a week into the NBA season. Give me one non-Warrior observation of the first week that has stood out to you around the association, as they would say.
Utah winning the first three games.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, how about that? Utah's off to a hot start.
Portland's 4-0.
Blazers are 4-0. Dame said, "Oh no, you guys want to tank? Nah. I'm healthy right now. We're not going to tank."
It's so funny because Cyrus was asking me this question today about like what has stood out to me in the first part of the year, and I brought up the Blazers. And I just, I've watched the Blazers a couple times. I saw them on opening night against Sacramento, and then I saw their destruction of Denver. And the Blazers guys, Jeremy Grant, really underrated player. Nurkic is healthy, giving you a double-double. Lillard's in absolutely the prime of his career. Josh Hart is one of the most underrated players in the NBA, and he's a great rebounding guard. Simons is coming of age, and he had 29 against the Nuggets. He looked absolutely fantastic. And then they've got these other guys. I mean, Nazir Little, he's as good an athlete as there is in this entire league. And then Shaedon Sharp is like one of my favorite players. He's only playing about 15, 20 minutes off the bench. But this kid's got serious game. I mean, crazy game. And they got other guys.
He's like Kuminga almost, except he's going to get to like play free, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they're an interesting basketball team. What do you guys think of the Blazers so far?
I think it's been beautiful to see the commitment they made. I went and saw them play the exhibition game against the Warriors, and they looked pathetic that night. They looked totally disengaged after the first quarter. but those are practice games. When the real lights came on, the professional that Damon Lillard is, he is taken by the throat, his team. He's got Chauncey Billups getting the rest of the guys prepared, and they have shown up big. But if you were to ask yourself right now, who's going to go further when the season gets going and when we get to playoff time? Would you have more confidence in the Blazers or more confidence in the Pelicans?
Oh, 100% the Pelicans, not even close.
Yeah, it's not even
Pelicans,
close.
I mean, the Pelicans are a different deal altogether. I mean, they beat Dallas by 2 tonight. The guy that I wanted
With
Golden
no
State
Zion.
to get was Trey Murphy. I love Trey Murphy at Virginia. I saw he could shoot the lights out, and he's 6'9". And so now you got Trey Murphy went for 22 tonight. He took 4 threes, made 4 threes. I mean,
Larry, they didn't have Brandon Ingram or Zion tonight.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, this is
Crazy.
a good basketball team. McCollum is a terrific, intermediate scorer. Valanciunas is really nice. They got Nance Jr. coming off the bench. You got Devontae Graham. They got Jackson Hayes on this team. I mean, it's they're interesting. They're interesting.
Tons, baby.
They got good habits.
Do you like Portland better than you like Minnesota?
No.
No,
I
like
don't.
Minnesota a lot.
I don't like Portland in the sense that they to me seem like they will fade a little bit. But the one thing,
Do we have the soundbite on Karl Anthony Towns ripping Anthony
Edwards? Oh, about his
Edwards.
eating.
just ripping his
Not
eating
going to
habits?
Popeyes for a 2-piece and biscuit.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy,
I mean, he's had he I think he's like 240 this year. He's got that like football build going. It's not exactly what you want.
But I'll say this about
maybe that's why.
I'll say this about Portland with Dame. Last year, Steph stole. The year before, it was kind of like Steph and Dame were talked about on almost equal footing. It was like Dame time and the clutch and the playoffs,
A
hitting
lot of
these
Chris Haynes.
game winners and stuff. And then last year, Steph just stole every stage there was imaginable, even outside the sport. He's getting his degree. Everything's going Steph's way last year. But Dame is back, and that dude is not going to go down easy. And they're 4-0, and I'm not saying they're going to be a playoff team, but Gary Payton hadn't even played yet.
But what would keep them, Dan? What would keep them from being a playoff team? Because I believe they will be in at least the play-in.
Well, they should be in the play-in, yeah. I don't know if they'll make the final 8, but they're going to be right there. They're going to be fighting for that 8th spot, and whether they finish 7 through 10 and get in that play-in game, they'll definitely be in the top 10. They're probably, a 40.
you think Portland's going to be in the 8th spot? I think they'll be higher than that.
It all depends.
Yeah,
It's a tough conference.
Yeah,
This conference is loaded. I mean,
also, have we thrown in the towel on Sacramento?
Sac has actually been.
It looks better than their record.
Yes. I think Sac is going to figure it out. I mean, you look at Keegan Murray. He hasn't started the game yet, and yet when he came off the bench, he played well against the Warriors. So I think Sac and Portland are actually similar. The one thing about the Portland Trailblazers is if teams allow them to run up and down, they will blow you out, particularly at home. But teams that are structured and run half-court offenses invariably can get what they want because they really don't have interior defenders. They have a bunch of guards, and they have a center who can score and an unreal guard. So if you underestimate them, they can beat you down on any given night. But their offensive balance and defensive balance, I think, will be tempered against.
Let me ask you guys this: which team is going to fall out of this? We know here's right now. I mean, this is 4 games in, but we can probably predict which teams will fall out. The Warriors, Clippers, and Dallas are 9, 10, and 11. So we think they'll all 3 of those, I believe, will be in the 8 playoff teams. Okay,
I
so
think the top three. I think you can just say the top three.
I mean,
I don't
maybe.
have Dallas.
That's in the
I don't have
Spurs
Dallas
for
near
sure, and
Okay,
just
but we know
somebody.
the Spurs and Utah are out. Okay, they're going to fall out. They're 2 and 3 right now. Forget them. They're going to be at the bottom.
Carl, you have the Mavs take? Do you think the Mavs aren't going to make it?
I don't think the Mavs are as high as you think. The Mavs don't have a second scorer. I don't believe they have the ball movement that's necessary. They're so needy of Doncic playing great for them to be good. I'm not as confident on them. They were a top 4 team last year. Level, I think where they finished 5th overall, but I don't have them in my top 6. That's for sure. And I think they're going to struggle to be 7 or 8.
Yeah. So here's the deal. You got, if you took Portland, I'm going to just take Utah and San Antonio out. Portland, Phoenix, the Pelicans, Memphis, Denver, Minnesota. That's 6. And then you got the Warriors, Lakers, and Dallas. Out of those, that's 9 teams. Which team falls out? Which did I say? I meant Clippers. Golden State, Clippers, and Dallas, 8, 9, 10. Which of the one team falls out? Do you think it's going to be Portland that doesn't make the final 8, or is it going to be Minnesota? Denver?
I think it might be New Orleans.
New Orleans.
I think it might be New
New
Orleans.
Orleans is going to end up top 5.
Top 5.
If Zion is healthy, I've got them top 5. I have them ahead of Dallas. I have them ahead of Minnesota.
Minnesota. The
really
only thing
good.
is, Anthony Edwards and Towns alone makes Minnesota really, really a tough handle on any given night. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I would say Sacramento's on the outside looking in, of course.
I don't see Sacramento getting into that.
No,
8.
but it just Sacramento's got some nice players, but I mean Harrison Barnes they just got to make the whole thing gel together. Barnes didn't have a very good night the last game. They got to get Keegan up and rolling. They're just a little bit thinner than some of these other teams in the West. There's just so much talent, in the conference. A lot of times it's going to be about who gets hurt, but also, some of these teams have a volatile mix. It's like what kind of a job does your coach do keeping the group together? So especially
you definitely want to get into that 7. You definitely want to get in that top 7. You don't want to get in that play-in game. There's going to be a couple of really good teams.
Remember, you got to be top 6. Dan.
I mean 6. Yeah, you're right. I mean 6. So there's going to be a really good teams at 7 and 8 and 9 this year.
Yeah,
and maybe 10.
Dallas are going to be at that level when this thing shakes out.
Minnesota.
Dallas, consider the Grizzlies,
Portland.
Do you think what do you guys think of the Grizzlies so far? I mean, it's kind of scary seeing Bane have that flamethrower the other night.
Oh man,
they're good.
They both got.
They're really good.
They're good.
But the question will be, can Ja be on the
healthy.
floor for more than 68 games?
Yeah.
Because
he
if
plays
he has to miss
so
3 weeks of the season, I just don't see them again going 22-5 if Ja has to be out over an extended period of time. He's not that big. He's always doing explosive things. He takes a lot of risks. That's generally going to get you hurt a little bit.
Is he Christian McCaffrey of the NBA, where he just plays with this reckless abandon?
Don't say that.
Oh, he's an incredible talent.
But I mean, I'm just talking about getting hurt
player.
all the time, because the way Ja plays above the rim, and I mean, he does some acrobatic things that that's
a really good basketball team, by the way, Memphis. I mean, that Santi Aldama can flat out shoot it. Dylan Brooks, I've always, respected his game. Steven Adams is just timeless. I mean, he had 13 rebounds against the Nets. Ja's incredible. Bane can shoot it. Clark is one of my favorite players in the entire league. I'd love to see Clark on Golden State. I mean, he gets up and down.
Team-friendly deal as well.
Haven't named their second best player yet because he's not playing.
Well, exactly. Well, who do you like? I mean,
Jaren Jackson.
Jaren Jackson. And then they got other bigs too. I mean, Kenny Lofton, Tillman, Roddy. I mean, they got some nice players on the bench that I really like.
And he got the best backup point guard in basketball.
Yes.
Who can start? 20 games for you every year and have a winning record. They got really good habits. I mean, job makes them special, but teams will have a tough time beating them at home. So I think Memphis is probably one of the best 6 teams in the West, but I'm enjoying listening to you guys talk about teams 7 through 10 because no one really knows. I mean, it's going to come down to defense and as you said, Larry, continuity internally. You know, who's going to start to disperse when things get tough. You'll really get a chance to see Mike Brown's impact because Sac's used to losing. They're going to have a bad turn. Can they pull it together just to stay competitive? You know, we don't know that right now.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, can you keep them together? Who can stay together? That's the thing. And then there's really 2 things. It's egos, but it's also injuries. So then it's like, you know, how deep are some of these teams? But it's funny when you look at the NBA in the West, the only thing that's really defined is the bottom of the conference. You know, Lakers, OKC, Houston, you know, Utah, San Antonio. That's the bottom. And everybody else has got a kind of a shot, I think.
The crazy part, Larry, and I know we like to crack jokes because we are the Bay Area and we hate LA. But if the Lakers can find an interesting deal, I'm not talking about getting rid of Westbrook. I don't think anybody's going to give away talent to take on a $45 million player unless they've got a strategy that they are truly trying to tank and they want to have Russell Westbrook to help them do it. But if they can find a way to be competitive, we know that LeBron and AD, if they're healthy, are going to eventually have their impact on the league. They're just too gritty as veterans. They're shot makers late in games. They're going to figure out a way to become decent. Will they ever get over the hump? They're going to need to make a deal, but I think it's going to have to be around the edges as opposed to, hey, we're going to unload Westbrook and get 2 highly productive guys that are going to be able to really
I don't see them getting productive guys. I don't like their bench at all. I just think their bench is so weak.
If I had a prediction about the Lakers, I think it would be within the next couple weeks, we're going to see Russell Westbrook step away from the team. You know, it's going to be like, oh, he's going to be away for, 7-10 days. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him again and come until the trade deadline. And I mean, I think that there are teams out there like Utah,
buyout market.
Like Utah, Danny Ainge, he just got the job, so he's got tons of job security. He already proved that he could kind of do this sort of thing in Boston. I wouldn't be, although Russ does have beef, it seems like, with the Utah fans, but I don't know. Maybe you can see something there. Send Russ plus, I mean, those picks are super valuable. The 2027 8 or whatever the Lakers have that to offer, those are like looking like, gold right now. So I don't know if you could get Rudy Gay and, somebody else that at least can just round out your roster, I'd maybe do it.
They're not giving those picks up. They're not going to do it. And
you don't think so? I mean, no. The only thing is, did LeBron kind of have a like a wink and a nod sort of deal when he signed that extension that, okay, I'll extend right now and I'll give up some of my leverage, but you guys have to be willing to trade that pick?
No, they're not giving those picks up.
Okay.
I mean, listen. LeBron is part of the reason why
I know.
KCP and Kuzma are in Washington.
Oh, I know.
Look, come on.
Right now, what New Orleans has their pick for this year, right? So it's like it's looking scary.
LeBron's a better player than he is a general manager. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt about that.
This just it.
Hey guys, tough question, but I definitely it's so topical. I got to ask you.
Sac State 7-0. Is that what you want to talk about?
Yeah, Sac State
the other night on Saturday night, wasn't it?
The Hornets. Let's talk Hornets. No, Brittany Griner, 9-year prison sentence, and her appeal was denied. She's staring at 9 years in prison for I think it's probably simple marijuana, something that she
a marijuana pen or something that she brought.
She's hostage.
I mean,
Russia,
I know
you're
this
dealing with
this
Russia.
this story transcends sports. This is about international relations, and we're in conflict with these nations, and it's an absolutely mind-bending thing thinking about her situation. Is she innocent? Well, she's not innocent of having a marijuana pen, but I mean, the punishment is nowhere near fits the crime. This is a huge injustice, and the fact that nobody can pull the right strings power wise to make some kind of trade to get her out of this is just scary. And the idea, I mean, this would be an incredible movie if it wasn't this woman's life. It's such a tragedy on so many levels, and it seems like some people care, some people don't. Some people are really passionate about it. People make efforts to, make their voice heard. People want to keep the drumbeat going, but 9 years and it doesn't. I don't know what's going to change. What's your thoughts watching that situation unfold from afar? Because I mean, I just thought by now this would have been solved. There would have been some kind of trade. We'll free up this person, you free up her, she'd be home. It doesn't she's doing hard time in Russia. I mean, do you guys have a thought on Brittany Griner and her situation and where it goes from here and how it's being covered? It's just an amazingly tragic situation for a young person.
It's appalling. It's appalling anytime human rights are being challenged. None of us feel comfortable in our country or should feel comfortable with the type of way that she's being treated. We know there are other political prisoners. We have to be hopeful that our government and the people who really are experts in these areas can find a way to come to the table with their officials and come up with an amiable way of being able to get her released. I mean, nothing is worse than seeing somebody be a pawn in a political game. I'm just hopeful that we can end this so much sooner because it is putting such a stress on our family, on the community, on the sports world in general. There's all these other opinions people have, but at the end of the day, it's about having compassion for her. And you would like to see her get the opportunity to come home and be with her family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute nightmare. And, she's never far from my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Because, yeah, she made a mistake, but the punishment is galaxies away from what reality is. And, when you think about the political ramifications and how she fits in, the fact that our country is aligned with Ukraine, and rightfully so, and the Russians are taking it on the chin. I mean, you have to connect the dots, and not only Brittany Griner, we have other Americans who are doing hard time in Russia. There's an American who was sentenced to 16 years. So it's horrible. I think if and when the Ukraine Russia war is resolved, then I think that would be an opportunity for Brittany to come home. But this is tough right now because Russia knows that we as a country are emotionally attached to Brittany coming home, and they want to feed off that. They want to turn the screws because they feel that we're sticking our collective noses in their business. I mean, and I think that's playing a major role in the Brittany Griner situation.
Yeah, the thing for me that just kind of had to be honest, and this is pretty ignorant of me, I never really was following it that heavily because I actually just assumed like, oh, well, they'll pull some strings, she'll be back, it's going to be no big deal. It's like, but now it's like we're going on like what, 340 days or something like this, almost a year. And I mean, 9 years obviously is ridiculous. And there is still a part of me that's like, okay, obviously, like they're going to figure out a way to get her home, right? But like, I mean, at this point, I don't know, and I can't even imagine. I just can't imagine like if I'm putting myself in that situation, like at least Brittany Griner she is a public figure. which almost makes it a little bit more sad. But like if this was me or just some random Joe in America that brought a weed pen to Russia and like they were sentenced to 9 years, like you'd be toast. There'd be no coming back. So it's just kind of it really is kind of a wake up call. Like, whoo, man, like it's not everywhere as safe as it seems, I guess.
What you would be you call situation. This in a declared war, a prisoner of war.
Can Biden not just like? I thought he could just like. It just seemed like the president of the United States like had the ability to just like snap his fingers and make something happen. But
he doesn't have any leverage over Putin in this situation. So Putin is using this as leverage for him, and because if we're NATO's taking this against Russia, and so if we're backing Ukraine, if Putin feels backed into a corner, he's knows how, she is a celebrity, a well-known person. It's not like you said, Ryan, it's not just any Joe Schmo like you and me over there. So he's going to use this and it'll become a negotiation at some point when it benefits him. And unfortunately, she's being used by the system. I guess the lesson would be for all of us is, number one, we don't want to make a mistake and go do something against any other country's laws, but probably don't even travel to some of these types of countries at all at this point, because it could get worse.
It's a very tragic situation. And I'm kind of glad people are continuing to talk about it, and the drumbeat of support is still there, because I think in some way shining a light on this has to make her situation at least safer, because they know everybody's watching. So that is my hope, is that she's, and there are people, the other thing I've heard people show no empathy, to her. It's like, show some empathy. It's like, she made a mistake, but she shouldn't be there for over a year because of it. And it's people have just, I don't know. It's, I sometimes I feel some of the people that I've heard voice opinions on this have not necessarily had the most empathetic tone about her situation. So that is just absolutely stunning. The other thing I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on, and I know Danny's been waiting to talk about this, is there's a report out that the Giants are confident that they are going to sign Aaron Judge. We're hearing things like whatever it takes, and they won't be outbid. Somebody actually wrote they won't be underbid, but of course everybody knows that makes no sense at all. But the idea is that they're not going to be outbid, and they're going to throw huge money at Aaron Judge. And I've heard that he wants to leave New York and play West, whether it's with the Giants or the Dodgers, and that he's most likely going to play for the Giants or Dodgers. And it may come down to, does he feel like the Giants can be competitive? And the Giants may have to go sign a Carlos Correa before they sign Aaron Judge, just to show Aaron Judge that they're serious players. But then there's also talk that the Giants may sign Carlos Correa because of his tie to Pete Putila, I believe, the new Giants general manager. So there's a lot, we got a lot of interesting things going right now. We've got the beginning of the NBA and NHL season. You got college basketball or college football in full flight. You got the NFL season, really rolling at this point. 49ers just got Christian McCaffrey. And now you get this baseball off season where the San Francisco Giants could be front and center going after guys like Carlos Correa and Aaron Judge. All I'll say is this: after the off season that they had and the season that they had, where Farhan talked up Trevor Story in spring training, talked up Seiya Suzuki in spring training, didn't land either, and then it was a parade of minor league crap. And then middle of the season, they're talking up trading for Soto and talking up trading for Ohtani and all these big names. And then what did you get? You got a nice trade, an advantageous trade for J.D. Davis and 3 arms, but nothing that made them playoff contenders, nothing that moved the needle, nothing that made you want to turn on the Giants and watch them. if they talk big on this, like this is, I don't know where this report is coming from. They will, whatever it takes, we'll knock it out
What if it
big.
was just your report?
Yeah. I don't know who's quoting this, but all I got to say is if you talk the talk, you'd better walk the walk, because if you don't this time, and Giants fans in 10 days after the World Series are looking at Aaron Judge, in the lineup behind Freddie Freeman at Dodger Stadium, the saltiness level of Dan Coccimilgio will go through the roof. He will not re-up his season tickets. I personally will rip everybody and anybody, including my family and friends, just because I'll be angry. And the wrath of the Giant fans will come down on Farhan. You can't keep talking big and delivering nothing. You can't keep finishing in second place on Giancarlo Stanton and this guy and that guy and Bryce Harper. Eventually you have to land. You got to land the big fish. And if you don't land the big fish the way they're talking right now, there will be blowback, and there will be negative, and there'll be a huge wave of negativity.
There will be blood starring Dan Coccimilgio.
Before you jump in, Glass Half Full guy says, here's $4.99. I'm thinking $500 million for Judge. Do it, Farhan. Go big or shut up. I would say it's 10 years, $400 million. That is the price tag that I would offer for Aaron Judge. 10 years, $400 million, $40 million per.
That is frightening.
I think if you look at the numbers and you look at adding 5,000, I think he would add about 5,000 people a night to their attendance, and they would sell a boatload of 99 jerseys. And when you add up all that revenue, you could make a very compelling argument that if you paid him $35 to $45 million in that range per year, that just on what he would mean to the franchise, he could pay for himself. Now, he's not going to pay for Carlos Correa, but he could pay for himself. Go ahead, Carl. What do you got?
There's no clue. Let's just be honest. We need 1994 to come back. We need to go get a big fish. Aaron Judge is the closest thing to when the Giants signed Barry Bonds, Barry Lamar Bonds, and Bonds Lamar Barry, whatever you want to call him. All we know is he changed the thermostat in the Bay Area. It heated up and he kept it hot. And hey, we know the steroids thing and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, he kept butts in the seats, and the Giants need that. He infused the local media because he was a talk track every day. People might not have enjoyed him in the clubhouse, but they could go out and be competitive. And the Giants need to do that, because I have a lot of Dodger friends that are fans that live here in the Bay Area that I love getting their GOAT, but it gets really hard to get their GOAT when they're winning 100 games every year, and we did it once.
Yeah, just wait till the playoffs, Carl. You have lots of material every year.
I know. The thing is, though, is it's fun for a little bit, but then it's like you don't want to turn into a Bears fan. Just your whole season is rooting against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I'll say this. I think I don't know what it's going to take to sign him. I think it's probably closer to $45 million annually. With 8 years, you're talking 360. 9 years, 405.
Would you do it?
Yes.
Would you do it?
Absolutely.
Personally,
Absolutely.
I would do it just for what you're saying, raise the thermostat, but I will have I'm not fooling myself. Like I think that this is going to be kind of like Pujols to the Angels. Like he's going to be really great for like 3 years. Then it's going to slowly tail off. It's going to be like 270, 25 home runs. But do something. They're not, he
takes better care of his body than Pujols did. Pujols couldn't play in the outfield. He was a liability at first base. No disrespect. Great guy. He was La Machine, but he wasn't the baseball player that Aaron Judge is.
He also might have been like 60, really.
And, I also believe that it's going to come down to, I don't think money's going to be an issue. I think it's going to come down to, where does Aaron want to play? If Aaron wants to play here, he'll be here. If he doesn't want to play
in San Francisco, which indications are he does want to play here. I think that's the issue is, because
here might be the other issue, Danny. How about this one right here? Look at this comment. If we can get this comment here. Just look at the Romo 2001. Look at the Giants lineup. Judge will not be the only solution. Judge may want to go play for Bochy. Says the Giants can't protect him in this lineup.
Mark Graves makes
Aaron
a good
Judge. I don't want to set some intentional walk record.
Mark Graves makes a good point, though.
He says the Giants play Ray or Turner first to show Judge.
Well, we got red ready to go. Go ahead. Red.
Well, no, I'm just saying, Larry. You talked about 10 years. I'd rather pay him less years and pay him more money because
pay
him
50 a year.
Yeah, I don't mind paying him 50 a year for 6 years.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't want 10 years because he goes through periods where he strikes out a lot and he's getting older. We need him in the Bay Area. I don't have a problem paying him $50 million a year, but I wouldn't sign him for more than 6 years biting my tongue. But a 5-year, $300 million deal, if he really wants the Bay Area, then, I mean, that's not shameful. That's not a shameful offer. So I think that's what I would do, and then go out and look at some other pieces like Correa, And also, I mean, how many good players did the A's trade last year? I kept waiting for the Giants to pull one of those guys off. I'm like, what's going on here? What do you have to take somebody to lunch in Oakland or
the
something?
A's would rather cut the A's would rather cut these players and trade them to the Giants.
I know, that's terrible.
Yeah, Red, how about if like you said, $50 million, 6 years with a $20 million 7th-year mutual option, club or player option?
I would do it.
Yeah, then you got him for
Here's the question. Here's the question for you guys. Now let's play Aaron Judge. The Giants say we want you. He says, you know what? I don't want to walk 7,000 times next year. And they say, okay, we got plenty of money. Who do you want us to go sign to support you? And you're Aaron Judge. And you say back to Farhan what? He can call his terms. What are his terms? Do his terms say get rid of Gabe Kapler? He's annoying as hell. Does he does he not care at all about that? Does he say, you know what? I'll come there, but I'm not coming there unless you get, Carlos Correa and
Josh Bell. Let's say something.
Yeah, Josh Bell or Carlos Correa and Jose Abreu or something like that. I'm not coming there until you can protect me in that lineup. If you guys will go sign a couple guys that can protect me in the lineup, I will come there for X amount of dollars. What are those? Who are those players? If you're Aaron Judge talking to Farhan,
but it may not be Carlos Correa, and only because let's look at what he did in Minnesota. He was not the same guy that he was potentially talked about becoming when he was in Houston. He may have a different set of guys because his agent may look at how the game is being played today and may have some guys that fit the Giants' formula for winning, because their formula will clearly work if you've got enough relief help, you've got some solid starting pitching, that's some consistency, and you have at least one other bat who can do something. And it doesn't have to be a star. It just has to be somebody that is a threat. They have to do something, though. And if that means they've got to mortgage a little bit of future to get something done, and that's what Aaron Judge says, guess what? I have a god sister who is a judge in San Francisco, and she would hit the gavel and say, "I'll make it happen."
Hey, seriously,
she'd be like, "All rise."
Larry, let me ask you one question because all you guys, I'm sure, cover the Giants really closely.
Oh, it's really sad. We did post games after every game.
Right. I mean, now here's the deal. When I was doing sports talk radio a lot, I covered baseball really, really closely. John Dickinson and I should talk hours upon hours about Giants baseball. But here's the deal. The Giants have proven over a 20-plus year period that they know how to draft pitchers, right? But philosophically, why won't they go out and draft a stud, I mean, notwithstanding obviously Posey, but they have a prototype of the players that they draft, and it just irks the hell out of me. Why don't they go out and get like the athletic type, like the type of players that the Atlanta Braves historically draft?
Goodness.
I mean, why? I don't understand that, Larry.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. I mean, if you study the amateur draft over the last, 30 years, the greatest players typically come from the high school position players, and the Giants typically draft nothing but collegiate pitchers.
Right.
So and then here's the question. If you can't attract free agent hitters, if you can't attract free hitters in the free agent market, and you're not drafting hitters, where are the hitters ever going to come from? You're always going to have to trade for hitters. So to me, it makes perfect sense that they should invest in hitters, because free agent pitchers will always look at that ballpark and say, you know what? If I go there and I can just stay healthy, I'm going to be great, and I'll turn it into a great free agent, find. So the Carlos Rodons are going to continue to sign with the Giants. Right. Because it's, hey, I'll go there. I'll have a great year in that gigantic ballpark. My home run ratio will go down, and I'll get paid tons of money. And they do it, and it works. So that's the avenue to get pitchers. The avenue to develop hitters, you would think, is through the farm. They haven't been able to do it. So it's going to be an interesting. They did draft a guy this year who's a pitcher and a hitter, Reggie Crawford, and his bat looks awesome. So we'll see. It's, the baseball amateur draft, it's like the Giants have been terrible for years, but then somehow, quietly, as Sabian was terrible for years, all of a sudden, here was Bumgarner and Lincecum and Kane and all these guys.
They know how to draft pitchers.
And they all kind of popped up, and they won a World Series. Right. The Cy back in the house.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at that.
All right,
wait. Where'd you go?
Wait, I hate to do this to everyone. Cy, I think you're going to have to sub me out. I have to, Larry kind of knows I got to get some stuff up by midnight-ish, and it's just going to take some time, and I can't do it while I'm streaming.
Wait, what?
All right. Yeah, he's got to do some work for London.
Yeah, I got to do some London.
Go?
Right. What time are we going tomorrow? What time are we going?
Yeah, I got to check the old.
We need Ryan for the show. Like, if he goes, the show ends.
Oh no, he's just saying.
Okay,
are you kidding me?
We're gonna miss him, man.
He's the star. He is the show.
He's the
show.
That
doesn't end
true.
until Dan stops eating. All right,
Shut the fuck up, Dan.
It's gonna be like 11 o'clock, 11:15.
I usually eat after midnight here.
All right, Rye, we will let Rye check out.
Love you,
Say
man.
goodbye to everybody.
I love this whole live stream setup. It's so fun. Actually, it's can't believe we didn't think of it earlier.
All right, bro, we'll talk to you. There you
He's
go. Glass half full guy, $4.99. How about the low risk trade for Chris Sale? Seems like Boston wants to pawn him off. I don't know what.
You're going back to baseball? What's going on here?
Yeah, no, we've already covered cricket, baseball, basketball. Si, where did you go exactly?
I did. I recorded the next episode of Locked On Warriors with Kevin Dana. It was a fun show, man. He's a good dude. He's been on the show before, right? I think. Right.
He's the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, isn't he?
And sometimes the Golden State Warriors. He fills in for Tim Roy if Tim can't make it. So like last year, he covered the San Antonio Spurs game, the one where the reserves played the whole game and they won. I don't know if you folks remember that. Like Chris Chiozza played big minutes. Quindary Weatherspoon, who we talked a lot about tonight. I actually asked Kevin, I'm like, who's
on the Santa Cruz Warriors now? Who's there now? Who's their
premier
guy?
Ty Jerome's going to play for him. Anthony Lamb's going to play for him. That one kid, I always forget his name, who played for Purdue, the center, who you really like.
Williams.
Yeah, like he's probably going to play for Santa Cruz. I don't know if the roster is fully set yet, but
Baldwin and Rollins will spend some time down there.
That too, yes, absolutely. And if Dan has his way, Jonathan Kuminga.
For a game or two, I'm saying that's it. I'm not saying he's down there for the.
All right,
he's just
stop it. Stop.
I'll tell you what we do.
Danny, for fighting back.
We talk him into having Steve coach the games that Jonathan Kuminga comes down and plays. He can put you on the bench, and you can make sure he gets enough minutes.
We were just talking a little baseball because I brought up Aaron Judge, and we also talked a little. Brittany Griner.
Yeah. But
We
real
also
quick,
mentioned Brittany Griner's whole situation in Russia.
That's
how
awful. But just real quick,
heartbreaking that is.
I asked Kevin Dana, like, if he could put a number on, like, a percentage, like a possibility of the Warriors bringing Quindary Weatherspoon back.
Right.
Because, I mean, it's only 4 games, but, I mean, I still don't understand why they let him go. I know Kerr has his vision. It's his team. You know, you got to trust the man. But Ty Jerome, you know, have him over Quindary, I don't get that. And the Warriors' biggest issue right now defensively is transition defense and perimeter defense. I feel like he can help with both of those things. So I asked if he could put a percentage, and Kevin would not. He has to think about it, but because it's just such a wild thought that he could be. And
he refused to answer. He refused to answer
because he has to be calculated in his responses. He is an employee of the Golden State Warriors.
I mean, that's you know, things are tight. You know, things are you're getting a little tight around the collar when you can't answer G League questions.
I think that came down. I actually think that came down to money, to be quite honest, because if you go back to the summer, the Warriors were kind of leaning on him a little bit to take the two-way, and he was kind of like, I think I'm a full-time guaranteed player, and
right.
I think that lingered, and it's unfortunate that maybe the politics kind of got in the way a little bit, but you know, Ty Jerome doesn't have a guaranteed contract, so he has to play well. I like Ty Jerome, actually. He hasn't played well at all, but I like him. And I think that intellectually he fits with what the Warriors want to do. He's slow-footed. But I think if Quindarius had taken that two-way deal when the Warriors wanted him to, I think he would still be in this organization at this point.
If you're right, that's such a shame because that means ego's playing into this. Like Quindary Weatherspoon was on his 4th two-way deal, and that's which is a record. I don't think any other player has ever done that, and that's the most you could do. So this would have been his final two-way deal, regardless. But if you're right, and I'm not saying you're not, that would suck because you're right. We've seen this happen in professional sports a lot. Yeah, and I'm not hating on Ty Jerome. I'm not hating on him. I have no judgment so far. In all honesty, it's just to lose Quindary Weatherspoon, man. I mean, he was part of that.
No, I agree.
I don't know.
Go back to Christmas Day. He played his tail off. He helped the Warriors win the game on Christmas.
Against the Suns. Yes.
Yeah. Is Guy Santos, GD5 says, is Guy Santos going back to Brazil, or is he going to play in Santa Cruz?
No, that's an awesome thing.
He can shoot it. He can shoot it.
He might be a two-way at some point, and he might be a part of the big picture for the Warriors.
I'm thinking of Quinones. Where's Quinones?
He's gone.
Yeah, he cut
him. He could shoot it. He could really shoot. I mean, if you watch Quinones, he could flat out shoot it. But Santos is a 6'8" Brazilian guy who looked pretty good in the summer.
Defenders.
If you guys were buying stock on any of the Warriors' young players, and when you say buying stock, it's all about how low can you get in, and you know how much growth potential is there. Would you want to buy stock in Moody, in Poole, in Wiseman, in Kuminga, in Baldwin, or in Rollins?
Oh,
if you were buying stock, because you got to remember the stock is really low on Baldwin and Rollins. If you thought those guys were going to be NBA even rotation players, that you could get, you're making a nice little payout based on where they're at right now. Poole would be like that stock that's already starting to perform, that you're kind of getting on the upswing, but you're still, maybe you think there's more growth there. Who's the guy you'd want to buy stock in? Got
Moses
the biggest upside?
Moses Moody's the real deal, and I won't talk long here. I promise. I want to give everyone time. But Moses Moody is clearly, to me, the absolute best of that group. I like Kevin and I were. I mean, I get giddy thinking about the future with Moses Moody. He's a legitimate player. James Wiseman stepping up, but Patrick Baldwin Jr. I mean, you guys saw him in the preseason, right? I mean, there were glimpses there of just excitement, man. So
he's a big kid who can shoot it, and he knows how to play the game.
I'll go with Wiseman. I just like his upside. These guys literally played not even the equivalent of a year in the last 3 years, and he's getting better. If he stays healthy, sky's the limit with that guy.
Yeah, I'm a sign on to that. I mean, Wiseman looks like a potential all-star. Now, RIP to the great Bill Russell, but
Oh,
but I see glimpses. I'm not comparing these to. I mean, the world
Frank
can't stop.
Red said he's
No,
Russell.
yeah, right. Exactly.
the next Bill. Yeah.
Exactly. Who the hell is Frank Red? Get him off
Last
the
night
air.
on the Krug
Right.
show on YouTube.
Hey,
Frank
he did
Red-
have a number 6 patch on his. Oh yeah, wait, everybody does.
This is how
Exactly.
this happens. Somebody would just cut
Right.
that. It'll be tweeted out. It'll be
I know.
Frank Red said that James Wiseman.
Right. Exactly.
Aggregated. You're
but here-
aggregated. You don't want that. I promise you. You don't want that.
It's on a-
let me.
It's on a scroll in like Tokyo. Frank Red says
Here's
says
no.
James
Here's a
Wiseman's
question for
better
you guys,
than
if you don't
Bill
mind.
Russell.
Yeah, but
In
you know what's
hindsight-
listen. I love the way he runs the floor. I see him as an excellent student now. When 2 years ago I did not. His upside to me, again, I think he's a top 7 center in the NBA potentially within the next 2 or 3 years. And Larry, like you said, the game could have changed tonight had Kerr gone to Wiseman earlier, because Looney was okay, but I think you're going to start to see Wiseman playing somewhere between 25 and 27 minutes a game.
Yeah, I'm going Wiseman too.
Man,
Wiseman is just you can see the growth, as far as his demeanor, his the game is slowed down. And he's still this hard work. He's so gifted too. When you're 7'1" and can run and jump the way he can run and jump, just the basics, and he can do so much more than the basics. But I was fearful, guys, after watching him in year 1, and I saw him, really looking like he really likes to face up. He likes to play the face-up game, and he likes to show that he's got guard skills, and he likes to show off the different elements of his game. And I just thought, well, if he likes it though, that's one thing, but that's not. It's like that's like 7th best thing. It's like run the floor, block shots, challenge shots, finish at the rim, catch lobs, find perimeter, spot up shooters and hit them with accurate passes. I mean, that's basically it. Roll to the rim and finish and intimidate. And it's like, you know what? We're now seeing him eliminate almost all of the excess in his game. He's honed it down. They've communicated it to him. He totally gets it. The sky's the limit. Just stay healthy, big boy. Just stay healthy and have fun. Have fun. Stay healthy.
If you went in a time machine, would you still pick him with the number 2 pick?
Yes.
Same.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah.
It over LaMelo. It's basically it's him versus LaMelo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
I'm going to answer Cyrus's question because he asked a really good question, because it was one of those questions where there was weight involved, which I love. Taking James Wiseman is like investing in a mutual fund.
Danny,
it might not have been the prettiest fund.
Danny, what do you think, Danny? Mutual fund?
But you absolutely know
Danny's a financial guy.
You're now able to see how easily the return on your investment is going to come. And the return is going to be greater than you originally thought, just because he is compliant. He is willing to learn. He is willing to grow. He's like the kid that was playing on the freshman team, but he had never really played much. And then all of a sudden, his sophomore year, he's on varsity. His junior year, he's all league. And his senior year, he's a Division I player. And you find out 4 years later, the guy's playing professional basketball somewhere on the planet. He's just going to have these huge leaps of growth. And all he needs is what every player needs, which is to be healthy. But to go back to Dan's question, or excuse me, Cyrus's question, it was about how would you invest? And the investment I'd make, I said it on night 1, I'll say it again. Ryan Rollins is going to be a really good NBA basketball guard.
That was my question, by the way, actually. That's not
that.
Dan.
I think PJ is going to be a very popular player with Warriors.
Ryan Rollins, really? You're that hot on Ryan Rollins?
Right. I told you before, I'll say it again. I'm saying it right in the face of a guy who grew up in New York City. Ryan Rollins reminds me of what Clyde Frazier must have looked like at 19 years of age. long, strong,
Ooh.
clever, mature. He's going to work his tail off, and he's going to become a really good NBA guard.
Yeah, I like his measurables, and in actuality, he's about the same size as Walt Clyde. He has about 6'4". He has abnormally long arms.
Yeah, he's got 6'10" reach.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Spreewell. Remember when Spreewell came out?
Yeah, so I agree. The only tendency that I see is he tends to go left a lot, and I want to see him off the pick and roll make that hard turn to the right to go to the basket or either create from that position. So I'm starting to notice some tendencies, but the Warriors have the best coaches, in my opinion, and I think that they'll smooth out his game. But I like his package, man. He has a real nice package, a lot of confidence in himself already, and I think he's going to be a steal, no question about it.
I asked him when he came in studio, because we had him in studio at 95.7 The Game the other day, him and Baldwin for an hour. And,
nice.
and you could tell Baldwin is like super mature. I mean, he was like he had a full ride offer to Duke as a sophomore, and he bypassed it to go play for his pops at Wisconsin, Milwaukee. And then he had a bad year. His dad got fired. It wasn't a good year for him. But now, obviously, the Warriors stole him at the end of the first round. But Rollins was like, I said, who do you think of, who do you model your game after? Who do you see? And he said McCollum, CJ McCollum.
Ooh.
Great choice.
He's a mid-range sniper with length to bother you on the defensive end. Length that's like he's going to get his hands on a lot of basketballs. He's going to steals, blocks. He's always going to be that guy on the defensive end. And then he's got this desire to get better, but he's quiet. Like he's just going to emerge. I think it's going to take a year or two, but I see him as an impact guy on the defensive end.
Let me ask you guys
but then his mid-range game could be really, really very automatic. I mean, if he gets to the McCollum level in the mid-range, that's going to be a very nice player.
I got a question for you, Carl. So it's Clyde the Glide. What is it going to be? Ryan the Lion? What are we going to call him? What's he going to do?
Okay,
Glide wasn't the Glide.
That was Drexler.
Wait a minute, Clyde. I'm sorry. Hold on.
All right, that's it.
We got Walt.
That's it. You're muted.
No, a basketball related. Like why wait to play Rollins when they need the defense? You see rookies out there playing right away. I mean, Keegan Murray's an example of that. Paolo Banchero. Like why wait to play him when he can handle the fundamentals, which the Warriors need, which is defense. And if he is as long as you're saying he is, they could probably use him on the perimeter.
He's crazy.
Well, he's
young though. He's very young. He's 19, right?
So are other rookies, and they're playing. So why not him?
Think about it from this standpoint. Remember, you said you were a coach. There's some guys that when we're coaching, we go, man, I love his talent, but he's not ready for our system yet. That's the guy that you did what? You want to put him on varsity, but you put him on JV so he can get a chance to keep that confidence level. If he spends 23 games in the G League and gets just a ton of opportunity to really hone his skills, because they're looking at him and they're not thinking, hey, he's a fill-in guy. They can find a veteran guy to do the fill-in minutes. They want a guy that they think has huge upside that can become the guy that they play maybe one day next to a Jordan Poole in a lineup that might still have Steph Curry around. It might still have a Klay Thompson that's now 37 years old, coming off the bench, still able to knock down shots. They're looking at a guy that they think they can really make an investment in. And I love how clever they are. They know they have gold, but they're not willing to showcase it too early. And the one time they did, they learned their lesson. Hey, let's put them through our system first and let them take all those minutes. And now we're getting to see the benefit of that with James Wiseman. So I hear you, but the coach in you would do exactly what they're doing.
I love your answer. And another example of that's Jordan Poole, right? Jordan Poole, you saw his game change entirely from his G League experience. So No, great answer. I'm with you.
And historically, the Warriors have had pretty good development coaches down in Santa Cruz.
Yes.
So the
They
coaching
run the
doesn't
same
stop.
system too.
Yeah, the coaching
Correct.
doesn't stop when they go down there. The expectations are probably even higher because those guys, when they get to the NBA, they stole one. They know they stole one,
Yes, they do.
and the rest of the league knows that they stole one. You saw that even in the summer. I mean, you don't find 6'4" combo point guards in the second round. No, that doesn't happen.
And it's funny, Red, supposedly the talk was that they Mike Dunleavy brought him in for a workout. It was during the finals, and Steve Kerr was trying to do everything right. He's trying to prepare his team to win finals games and then keep one eye on all these workouts. So he's on the bike, the elliptical or something out there on the practice floor while this kid's going through the workout, and he's just like noticed him. He stood out to him, and he's like, "Who's that kid?" And they were doing a lot of pick and roll, and he was just dominating the workout. And it's funny, I asked Ryan about it, and he has this little smile on his face, and he's like, "I had a pretty good workout." Like, it was like I lit these mofos up. That's basically what he was saying. But Kerr noticed it and said to Dunleavy, "Who is that guy?" And he's like, "Yeah, we really think highly of him." So, the Warriors right now, guys, are doing everything right. I mean, come on. I mean,
yes, man.
Hey, you gotta
they're Lacob, Goober.
You got to give a lot of
Did you guys
credit
see
to
Magic?
Lacob.
Magic turned down ownership stake out of loyalty to the Lakers, which I'm glad. I'm kind of bothers me actually that they offered Magic an ownership stake because
I didn't know that. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Did you guys see that this week?
I didn't see that. No.
Magic was offered an ownership stake by Goober and Lacob and bypassed it out of loyalty for the Laker brand.
Where'd you hear that? I never heard. What?
Yeah, I mean,
Is that true?
I just read it. Yeah, you can probably Google it. It's out there.
I will. That's
You look at
incredible.
this Warrior team, though. You got to really give a ton of credit for Lacob's vision. He built that Chase Center, and he was getting pressure before last season. To trade the 7th and the 14th pick, which was Kuminga and Moody, and also Wiseman, because the veterans really wanted them to go out and get some, top veterans to push him over the top. And, Lacob, with the help of Myers, they had the vision of like, hey, look, we got this Chase Center. I don't want this place empty in 3-4 years. Now you look at their roster 4 or 5 years from now, let's say 5 years from now, Steph, everybody's gone, the big three. You got Poole, who becomes Curry. Moody could be Clay. You got Wiseman, who they haven't had anybody like Wiseman. But then you got Ryan Rollins. He's probably still, hopefully, may have Wiggins. He's only 27, I believe, right now. And then you got Baldwin. And plus whoever else they pick up over the next couple of years and develop. You got guys like we talked about down at Guy Santos who could be, get into that mix in a few years.
You forgot a guy, Dan. I hope you don't still have him in the G League.
Oh, Johnny. Oh, yeah. Kaminga. Oh, my goodness.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. I'm like, thank you. I knew I was forgetting somebody. So that's great. Still, yeah, I got him buried down there. Yeah. Kuminga. So you got you're starting 5. Kuminga really becomes your Draymond, kind of position. So you got Poole and Moody as your backcourt, and then your front court maybe is, let's say Wiggins maybe is not here. You got Baldwin and Kuminga and Wiseman, and then you still got Rollins. So you got a nucleus of guys that will be in their mid-20s.
The kid Baldwin is exciting too from the standpoint of he knows how to play.
Hell yeah.
He's the son of a coach. He shoots the ball kind of with that high release. He's not shooting it. He shoots it up. So you're never going to block his shot.
It's
He's a
beautiful.
6'10" guy with like absolutely beautiful form.
Very smooth.
In a year
He's not
from now,
scrawny. He's not scrawny
I mean,
either. He's built.
But he knows how to play too. That's the other thing. It's like he kind of, it's like Matt Bullard. Remember when the Rockets had Matt Bullard? And it was like, you know what? he created so much space because you could not close out on a 6'10" guy who shot it so high. It's just another guy who's going to create so much space. I just think in some ways he's not going to be as dependable right now as Bielitsa, but eventually he'll replace Bielitsa for a lot less, or Bielitsa was on a minimum, but for a low cap number and a high upside. So I'm excited to see. And when you talk ball with Baldwin, he's such a cerebral guy. I mean, he's very advanced. So it's going to be about, getting some run at Santa Cruz and figuring out the speed of the NBA game. He only has 26-inch vert. So he doesn't have true NBA top tier athleticism. He's going to have to get by on skill, but his skill is off the charts.
Neither does Jokic.
True.
It's true.
I mean, this is not a decathlon. It is still a skill sport. By the way, me and Red are going to go down to Santa Cruz a few times. We invite any of you guys to come join us at Woodstock Pizza right in Santa Cruz, man. Great pizza down there.
Ooh. Dude, I'm there. I'm there for that.
I didn't know they had Woodstocks in the Santa Cruz. That's all right. I'm down.
Woodstocks is terrific. Absolutely terrific. Is that the place?
We got to do it. We got to go down there, pick a game when Kuminga's playing.
Oh, look at Danny. If we play our cards right, we can mention it to Ray Ritter. We'll be sitting courtside.
Hey,
let's play our cards right.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's do that.
I mean, we know Kevin Dana, damn it, and we know Ray Ritter. So I mean that alone, and we know Carl Foster, and that alone gets us courtside. Look at you, getting the love from Coccimilgio. Man,
Carl, I love that hoop, that little hoop next to you. Yeah, the other side. But I could play on that all day, man. Oh, no, he's gonna reverse.
Okay.
All day.
Don't go.
That's my JaVale McGee.
Topple.
Hey,
don't
he's
topple
Dallas
over.
now, isn't he? They got Christian Woods and JaVale McGee.
They do.
Yeah. Hey, Foss, I like Dallas's. I didn't interject, but I like Dallas's balance, man. This is the best defensive team that they've had in a while. So if Luka can give the ball up and include some of his other guys and not be so typical at the end of the games, I think that can be a problem for a lot of teams on the defensive end.
Christian Wood is a nice pickup
this year too.
You got JaVale McGee and Christian Wood at the 5. You got Finney Smith, who's a nice player. I'm not a Kleber fan, but Kleber's effective. He's
okay.
Effective. Bullock can shoot it. Bertans can shoot it. Hardaway Jr. wasn't there last year in the playoffs. Dinwiddie's, was literally their second best player last year. Mm-hmm. And then you got Luka, and Luka's in his prime. Yeah, I mean Dallas might be a piece away. Josh Green. They got some other guys, but I mean,
they need a guy coming off their bench who can really create for others.
Yeah.
Dinwiddie can kind of do that.
But he wants to score.
Yeah, but he can kind of do it a little bit.
Score.
Yeah. I like Dallas. Dallas has an edge. Dallas is a tough team. And I think they're probably going to surprise some folks and get into that top 6. I think they'll probably be number 5 like they were last year.
Oh, by the way, the NBA had their go ahead, Carl.
I was just going to ask Red, would you have them ahead of New Orleans?
In a playoff series, I would have them to beat New Orleans. Yes, I would. I don't care if they're 5 or 6. I think Dallas is a better team at this point. New Orleans is probably more talented, but I like Dallas's team because they execute better.
Did you guys? Go ahead, Carl.
The only second one I want to ask, because these are the teams that are in that same space: Denver or Dallas.
Denver's better. I think Denver's better, but Dallas is probably tougher. I think it comes down to toughness.
Phoenix or Dallas?
Well, I mean, remember
last year was
right?
Dallas.
Right.
That was last year, though.
I would take Phoenix.
I think Phoenix. That's really where the gut of this is going to come. Maybe the Clippers are number 1. Maybe Memphis is 2. Warriors somewhere in the top 4.
That's what I was going to ask you. Could you see the Warriors falling out of the top 4?
Yes.
I could.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but I don't, you know.
Just because you've got Memphis,
Based on what we've seen this
Denver.
week, what seed is Golden State?
I think they'll finish top 4 still. I'm not. You can't judge the Warriors.
I think they'll be fighting for just like last year between 3 and 4.
Yeah, and you can't judge them now. I mean, they've got the championship hangover. Every team that the Warriors play is rising for them because
that's going to happen. That's the way it's going to be all year.
Yeah, but especially the early part, like especially the first 20, 25 games, like teams are really going to rise up, and then eventually it gets into the routine of the season. But yeah, I think they'll be fine. I'm not.
The fact that the Warriors won it last year for a 4th time in 6 years, they become
eight.
all of a sudden, or is it 8 years?
Yeah,
or 8 years. Yeah, all of a sudden, you know. They're UCLA when the UCLA was in their heyday. Everybody just got so up, you know, to play. And in the NBA, it's so much different. It's not like college where, you know, they get up for you because your number one's coming in and they're tough to beat. Anybody can beat anybody in the NBA, especially when guys are coming off back-to-backs and you're tired and they're you know, resting guys, pacing guys. I don't really see the Warriors winning much more than I think they're going to fall into that between 50 and 55 wins. That's where I'm pegging.
Is that top 4?
It should be, but it's going to be tight.
I think it will be top 4. Yeah, I would say 4. That would be my guess. And just because they won't go for, you know, they'll prioritize other things between now and the end of the year. And they'll prioritize flow and getting guys going and resting older guys. And they have a number of older guys. And they'll be very cautious with any kind of injuries.
Just remember, guys' seasons ended like a lot of these teams, their seasons ended April 10th last year. Or you know,
that's also
knocked out in the first round. April. Warriors played till mid-June.
Yeah, no, it matters. It absolutely matters.
That's why they couldn't make that three-peat and why they crashed. It was like, you know, those guys some of those injuries were probably due to all the number of games. They're playing 100 games a year. Now,
hey, one last question I want to ask you guys before we call this quits. The NBA future power rankings are out, and they had well, so basically they said which teams are going to be in the best shape for the next 3 seasons.
Wow. Okay.
All right. And number 1, Memphis. Number 2, Clippers. Number 3, Celtics.
No way. Whoa, wow.
Number 4, Warriors. Number 5, Bucks. But that's interesting. They have Memphis.
The Bucks is
number
dumb.
1.
I don't buy the Bucks one at all, just because for all the
some older players,
for all the complaints of the Warriors core getting older, the Bucks outside of Giannis are in the same boat. The Clippers are not any younger. I was actually going to ask you guys what you think about the Clippers because, first of all, I want to give Carl credit. I missed on Ty Lue. I was only up by 4 games, but Ty Lue's most wins ever in a season as a head coach was 51. But the Clippers this year are 2-2, and they barely beat the Lakers. They beat them by 6. They beat the Kings by 2. Then they got thumped by the Suns, and then tonight they got destroyed by the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, but Kawhi didn't play and Paul George didn't play. I don't think tonight.
It even says the Thunder. I don't care if the
it was the Thunder. Yeah.
I mean, this is the Clippers, the deepest team in the NBA, supposedly. I mean, what's going on there? I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? I'd love your reaction.
I think it's early. I think like Carl
Reggie
said
Jackson
earlier,
shot
these
4
guys
of 17.
are just
That's what happened tonight.
Rounding into, you know, I don't think you're going to see a lot of great defense really start until, you know, after maybe a dozen games where they really start to mesh. I mean, the Warriors, it might take them like, you know, 15 to 20 because they're putting a lot of these young guys with a new second rotation guys. So, and with DiVincenzo going down, it kind of moves the rotation a little bit for the next week. they've got a tough road trip coming up in the sense, not that the teams are that difficult, but they've got 2 back-to-backs. They got.
I'll tell you what happened tonight, by the way, in that game too. Trey Mann had a big night for OKC. Trey Mann had 25, 33 for Gilgeous-Alexander. So those two guys absolutely.
Oh, I love Alexander's game.
But just looking at the game, Powell shot 3 of 10. Reggie Jackson shot 4 of 17. The two of those guys combined 7 of 27. I mean,
But
that's
people
how you get beat.
but people are hyping up this Clippers team so much, and
I know.
And because of their depth, right? So let's say tonight, no Kawhi Leonard, no Paul George, right? So you're supposed to still have like Nicholas Batum, who finishes with 8 points. A Norman Powell, who everyone's hyping up as being this incredible bench player, 7 points, minus 20 in plus minus. Zubac had 10 points, 14 rebounds, but not enough. Reggie Jackson, like you said, struggled horribly. Robert Covington had 10 points in 21 minutes of play, which is actually okay by their stand. My point is, it's like, I don't know. Maybe they're overhyped. It is early. I get it. But they also had, 2 more months of rest than the Warriors. So,
yeah, I like the Clip. I mean, go ahead, Frank, but I like the Clippers. I just don't think of them as like super. If that's the best that they can throw at the Warriors in the division, I mean, come on. I think Golden State's better than the Clippers.
I just think the Clippers are built for the playoffs. That's just. I mean, they're a half-court team. Ty Lue historically really cuts his rotation. They only play like 7 or 8 guys, and they're just tough. But on a night in, night out basis, they show up sometimes. Some of the guys don't show up. So I think they will be tough in the playoffs because they have literally 2 of the top 7 defensive players, two-way players in basketball. And if they're healthy, they can carry a team to a next round. Okay, they win a championship. I don't know if they can do that, but they're built for the playoffs, not the regular season.
I just want to see the Clippers play one of 2 teams in the first round, either the Memphis Grizzlies or the Dallas Mavericks, because Luka absolutely destroyed 2 of the quote unquote greatest defensive wings ever. And that blew me away. I couldn't believe how much Luka dominated Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So much so that Kawhi Leonard, I don't even think he finished the series when he got hurt. But I'd love to see them go against Memphis because that would be a straight rock fight.
Oh, agreed.
And what do you guys think of Adam Silver's idea of an in-season tournament? I don't like it.
Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. Did you see Silver backed off of it? But he was talking relegation.
Yeah, he was.
Now, could you imagine if like the Kings suddenly were in the G League?
Sign me up. I want it.
Dude, I mean, that would single-handedly ruin franchises.
It would. I don't like that.
and they were doing it just to try to detour
from Wimbiana.
There's got to be a much better way to detour tanking than that, because that's just an embarrassment. I mean,
that is an embarrassment.
Imagine being the owner and you find out your team is no longer going to be in the NBA.
It would be a great movie. It'd be like they ought to get Will Ferrell for like Semi-Pro 2 and call it, relegation. By the way, here we go. The audience. All right, there you go. Thanks to everybody. That's going to do it for us. It's midnight. I've taken more than enough of everybody's time. So I am going to play the ads, but I'll let you guys get out of here.
I thought we were just starting. We're wrapping it up?
Yeah, you can come back for a final thought if you want, Si, in just a second. But we'll say goodbye first to Carl. Carl, good to see you. Always love talking ball with you. Hopefully we'll do it again soon. You're a wealth of information, and even better than that, you have great perspective. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Classic, Carl. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Okay.
And like that, as Damon Bruce would say.
You just sent him out just like that. I'm just boom.
Well, I mean, I don't.
One at a time. One at a time. Everybody take a bow, huh?
Seriously, Danny, you're going to come after Red. But Red, good to see you, and awesome. Thanks for joining us, and we always love hearing from you. And we'll
invite you again. By the way, whoever you are, hello.
Seriously, we'd love to have you back, man.
All right, take care, gentlemen. I appreciate the opportunity. It was fun.
Hey, always
Take
great.
care, Frank.
Always great.
Take it easy, Red.
Danny, good to see you. Good to see you. Faith and
Where's your dog?
Buster.
Can I see
Do
Buster?
we see Buster? Faith?
Buster's right.
Buster? Look at
Hi, Buster.
Come here, buddy.
Buster.
What's up, Daddy?
You just got to say his name. Oh, look at Faith. Faith
Come
comes
here,
right.
Buster.
Oh, wait.
So that's Buster, and what's the other one? Faith.
Faith. Sit,
Hi,
Buster.
Faith.
Sit. Come on.
Let's see the faces. They get great faces.
Oh, Buster.
It's your
Is
good
that a
boy.
great dog face?
It's your
Buster
good boy.
Buddy. Oh, I'm
And
such a
then
dog
Faith.
person,
Let's see
man.
Faith. Faith,
Hey, Faith.
look up.
Faith.
There you go. Oh, she's
Faith,
great too.
Oh,
Yeah, they're
you're
great
lucky,
dogs.
man.
Attack!
These dogs don't attack, man. They're just like they're too. I love
Could you
these
imagine if
dogs.
they just start devouring Danny? Call the HOA! Call the HOA! Oh, look at the hole!
Oh my God.
Oh,
Hey, you
that
should
was
see
great.
Buster does some great tricks. I should have him
But
do one.
can you do one late at night? I mean, is it just
Yeah, they can do one. I got it. While you talk, I'll go grab a biscuit
all
here.
right,
Let me
grab
go
a
get
biscuit. Grab a biscuit.
Yeah.
Hold on, Danny. Let's do this. We'll play. I'll throw the sponsors. We'll come back for one final thought, including Cy and Dan Coccimilgio next on the Krueg Show. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environment. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, call and make sure you use telmetrics.co, TELMETRIX.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coccimilgio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Tony Casera and the good people at Casera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Casera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled. And they are
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York style sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it, guaranteed.
That wink, you know, we're coming down the home stretch. All right, welcome back to the Krueg Show.
I've got a great.
Coccimilgio's still
Dude,
there.
you gotta get on. You gotta break down that sausage thing, because how did you even get, like, who the hell is that guy? I love it. It makes me hungry every damn time, and it makes me want to, like, get drunk with that dude and just eat sausage. How did you get hooked up with that?
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. We grew up with a Sunday dinner.
Who is this guy, man?
We grew up with a Sunday dinner.
I love him.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner.
Oh gosh,
He's a star of the show, man.
He's real, man. He's real. He's a real.
He is real.
He's real, and he's great, and he's ours. So there you go. No, they used to do ads. You know, I was their pitch man when they did radio ads, and so, you know, we asked them if they would like to sponsor the Krueg Show. They said yes. They actually had us up at their golf tournament, and we tried to raise some money at their golf tournament.
Oh
They had
gosh.
their own golf tournament, like that.
Yeah,
guy
they had
was
their own golf
emceeing it?
tournament. We did a broadcast. We did a live stream from the golf tournament.
Yeah, in
And
San Jose.
Shante says he's the sausage king of the Bay Area, not of Chicago.
Yeah, their plant is right there in Santa Clara, right across from Levi's Stadium, and they produce just an awesome product. I mean, seriously, the New York style Italian sausage, mild chorizo, spicy breakfast sausage. I mean, any kind of sausage you want, basil, you name it. I mean, they make it, and it's incredible, and it's awesome stuff.
Hey, you
So
know,
we're a big fan.
this dog, one of these, I got a new prop here. Instead of completes, check this out. I was at Costco the other day. This is
Doggy Delirious.
Peanut butter, banana flavor, human grade treats for dogs.
What does
If
that
you look
mean?
at the side here,
That means you could eat these.
I can
Dan, test it out.
Is free from byproducts, free feed grade ingredients, and is produced in human grade kitchens. Ultimately, it's good enough for you to eat, but made for them. No corn, no wheat.
Just eat a bite of it.
Yeah, so this is late night. No one's watching, right?
Exactly.
I'm in
No,
Costco
you
the other
kidding me?
day. I see these, and have you ever been to Costco and you're starving and you're going to buy an item and you just open it up and start eating some of the snacks?
That's called high. That's being high. That's also criminal.
No,
I think
it's
that's
not
a
if you
criminal.
buy it.
I mean,
Well,
you
it's
just
a
open
bad,
it up
it's
and
a
you're-
bad look. It's a bad look. It's like,
Well,
I don't give a damn. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna eat it. Damn it! What do
Yeah,
you
just-
stop me?
sometimes,
You
like,
stop
they
me?
have these little cinnamon rolls, and I'm just like,
What if you
starving and I'm in
finished
there.
it? What if you ate something you finished
Dan,
before
are
you
you
got?
wearing sweats while you're doing this? Like, do you go to the Costco? in
No,
sweats?
I'm in shorts 99% of the time. I don't
you're in
care
Arizona,
how
that's
cold
right,
it is.
Do you wear a tank top?
No, I don't.
not since maybe 18. Jackie Moon in there. Yeah. So
just the idea of Danny walking, because you'll see guys who are like 65, 70 wearing a tank top, and they got some terrible mole off their arm or something. That's dude, what's going on, bro?
My Costco is really close to Sun City, and so you go there at noon, and man, you can't get a parking spot because every freaking 78-year-old, 90-year-old that's alive is in there for $1.50 hot dog and a soda at Costco.
Oh, I know. It's become like
unbelievable.
it's become the cheapest way to eat.
Yeah.
And survive. I mean, if you're literally eating to survive, Costco's your place.
Costco.
I don't know how long you can live off that stuff, but
I know. Seriously, I mean, how many berry smoothies and a hot dog? I mean, pretty soon you're gonna crash. Okay, go ahead, Danny.
Woof.
Mr. NorCal says Costco's Korean barbecue tri-tip is fire.
All right, here, I'm going to raise some money.
One night we should do that. Name your store and your item that is just you would recommend.
Okay, I need at least a group of people to donate a total of $100, and I'll eat.
Jesus, Dan.
Come on.
Okay, so we need people in the chat. If anybody's willing to donate to the channel any amount of money up to we won't eat it until we reach 100.
Yeah, I need $100 in the chat
telethon.
Room, so I will
That's
eat.
A financial advisor right there, man. There you go.
If anybody will make a donation, how much do we need? $100.
We need 100. That could be 10 people making 10 of them.
You're not getting that. Let's be realistic here.
53 people.
Never know.
You
never know.
Everybody $2.
If everybody in the chat donates some amount of money, Danny will eat dog food on our show.
Okay, here's Buster now. Watch this. All right, Buster boy.
Can you and Buster eat it like Lady and the Tramp? Like he has one end?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Okay. All right, Faith, you're going to steal this. Faith's not trained because Faith was I got her during the pandemic.
Well, train her, damn it.
She's got
Littell wasn't trained, but Kapler trained him.
Okay, Buster, get back. Sit. Lay down. Faith, go away.
God, Buster's
Leave it.
That's a beautiful dog.
Leave it, Buster.
They both are. But
look at this dog. Look at this dog, Si. It's not. Look. The dog will not eat it.
I dropped the camera. The camera's swinging. Hold on. Leave it.
Wait.
Okay.
Don't drop the camera. Look at that. Look at the dog. Look at his lips. Look at that dog face.
Oh. Okay. Hey, Faith. No.
Faith is coming over.
Yeah, she's
little Si.
Okay. Buster, go ahead and take it.
That's
look at that. That's discipline. And Faith
here you go, Faith. Come here, Faith.
Where'd Buster go? Neighbor's house?
Over there. He's gonna get away and kind of.
God, Buster gets his treat and he's like, I don't care about Dan.
So now, Dan, it's your turn, and then Larry and I will play the part of you.
I need some money to do this. This is what I did in high school.
Krug Nation's on a budget. LOL. Shanti Ortega.
Yeah. Dan,
come on, everybody. Where's all the guys with money?
Buster's going to donate $100. LOL. Mark Graves. G Martinez. If it was some soft Alpo, now we're talking.
The thing about it,
that's fair.
Peanut butter and banana. I mean,
that's fair. No, G Martinez makes a good point. I mean, you're not.
How
really
about this?
eating...
If we get any donation at all,
just any.
Oh,
there you go.
Look at that! Look at that. Mr. NorCal.
Come on, I hit 5. I hit 10. Come on, somebody match that. I need.
Hold on.
If 4 people match that,
you'll eat it for $20.
25.
All right, I'm recording, Dan. Ready when you are, buddy.
Oh my God!
This could become a short, and I could be
G Martinez.
I could be ruined. If any of my clients see me, I'm done.
Al 925 laughing.
Oh, it's not a big deal. It's
Al 925. My wife has my wallet. That is awesome. Times are
There's
tough.
no shame in this, Dan. You signed up to be an entertainer. You're a performer now.
Yeah, this is it, man. I'm the prop of the show here.
Can Danny get $15 more and go
I
over
need
the
20
top?
more. I need 25. I've lowered my
25 is your
standards from
price?
100. I've lowered my standards.
Oh,
I
wait a
can't
second.
believe it.
Wait a second. We've got another one. Shante Ortega donates $4.99 for the super sticker. Wait a second. Do I need to? Wait a second. Do I need to play what it means to be a club member on this show? I can do that. Okay. Mark Graves, I'll give you $5 next time I see you at the park.
It's an IOU, man. It's an IOU. You got to accept it.
That don't count.
Doesn't count.
That don't count.
That puts us at $15. Come on, we're almost there.
No,
we're
that don't count.
Right now we're at $9.99 and we need to get to $25. If we get to $25, you'll eat dog food. But at the same time, we need to see it. I mean, you can't just one of these, you can't just throw it up in the air. We need we really need to see it. We need to see the texture.
I should eat something else before because I'm kind of hungry and this
base. You need a base of dog food.
I need a base of like a good cookie.
Mark Graves, mute Dan for not taking my money.
Right?
Oh, wait a second. Mr. NorCal became a YouTube member. Does that count?
All right.
That counts as $10, right? That's $10.
No, there's no money in there. No.
Mr. NorCal's wanting this bad, though. He's doing everything in his power.
You can't not take a bite tonight. You have to. I mean, you're disappointing the whole world at this point.
What does it say? What does it say? Kenny KS24. What a fucking song, he says. Shante Ortega. What the F is a super sticker? LOL. Just want to see Danny munch hot dog biscuits.
Not to mention, Dan, these people have already given money. So if you don't take a bite, I mean,
that's okay. I have my standards. Danny.
Well, give it a minute. Yeah, there might be people thinking it over. Wait. Here we go.
Oh, crap.
$20. Yeah!
Woo! Twiz Teb Eva.
Mom the meatloaf.
Woo! Danny's eating dog food. Oh, this is going to be sweet.
Oh,
all right. We're definitely making Len turn this into a video too. I'm putting this out on YouTube tomorrow afternoon. All right, here we go. This clip is going out on YouTube. Dan Coccimilgio, ladies and gentlemen, picked his price. He said $25. If somebody gave him $25, he would
entertainment.
He would eat one of these doggy delirious biscuits, peanut butter, banana-licious flavor.
There's human grade.
And there's only how many in there? 170. So you only have 170 of these to eat?
Yeah, but human grade, guys.
You're eating all of these?
Human grade. That's the only way you never get me to eat real dog food. You couldn't pay me if you paid me $1 million, I might do it, but
human grade. Something tells me that's going to be like Camp Lejeune or something.
He did it.
Let's see it, Danny. Let's see the cookie. Let's see the rest of it. No, you didn't take a bite of it.
No, he did. I saw it, man. He did.
Okay.
It's in his mouth.
You're not smiling. Is it that bad?
Supposed to smile.
How is it?
You're gonna enjoy it, Dan. You're gonna enjoy that dog food. You're gonna like it.
It's actually
what would you say? How would you describe it? Describe it to us.
Bland. But it's not. The fact that it's human grade is the only reason I did it. Because I would never.
You're really big on this human grade thing.
You couldn't get me to eat. You couldn't
real dog food. You wouldn't eat real dog food?
Hell no.
What would it take? How much? What kind of donation?
Maybe $1 million. $1 million.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. This is the first time I've ever seen someone eat dog food. Thanks, Dan.
Seriously.
That's a check off.
Can we take a real bite though, like a real solid bite?
I did.
Yeah, but you just took a little bit of the end.
I'm not gonna.
Can we see it? Can we at least see it now?
That was like a nibble. That was like
Let's see it. Let's see. Don't break it. Don't break it.
That's the piece right there.
It says woof.
Yeah, I took the little in. That's enough.
That's enough.
Yeah, it
is.
Was it really bad?
It wasn't as bad as I expected because it's.
If you had given those to people at a party, do you think they would? Would people go back? Would people go back to it? Just be like, hey, I'll take another one of those.
If you put
They're
maybe
not really dog biscuits, are they?
If you dipped them in like chocolate or white chocolate, people probably wouldn't even know. Like, just like
that would be awesome. Now that would be an awesome trick. Hey, have you got? I got these new Twix. It's like a new kind of a Twix. It's got chocolate, but we took it out of the wrapper. Here, try it.
Yeah,
homemade Twix. Oh, it's really dog food.
Just trying to have a little humor, a little lightheartedness. But you would never
kibbles and bits. Moji kibbles and bits.
You would never get me to do any regular dog food. No way.
That's where you draw the line.
Oh yeah, I mean the fact that
it's human grade, Larry.
Yeah, it's human grade. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Human grade pet food. So
it says joking under there.
Does it really?
Yes.
No.
Yes, it says human grade. Do you see where it says joking?
Where?
No, just the idea of Dan pausing there would be funny.
Human grade.
He's made the point like 9 times that it's human grade.
Listen to this. Organic rye flour, organic canola oil, organic cane molasses, organic peanut butter, organic banana puree, contains rye and peanuts. No, it's not. It's like
facepalm Godzilla. Dog biscuit, no chaser?
You know they make
no, you didn't go biscuit chaser even. You didn't even throw down a drink of any kind.
No,
you're the man.
I just took
not afraid.
Yeah, smallest bite. So dogs are going crazy right now. They're just like wanting this dog food right now.
Give them another one.
What mean the thing that you just ate?
Here we go.
Or
yes,
Buster.
Yeah, let's see.
Not me. All right.
Is there any way you could get them? Just okay.
Leave it.
Wait, let's see Faith. Let's see Buster show discipline one more time.
They're so
Buster,
precious.
Leave it.
Those are precious dogs. My
I
God.
know, but can you put it down still where he won't eat it?
Okay. Well, Faith will.
Oh.
But she'll steal. Here, leave it, Faith. Buster, leave it.
I love how he leaves.
What is Faith? Is like a retriever mix, or I mean,
she's a lab. She's a red lab.
Oh, just a red.
Look at Buster.
Yeah.
Look at the discipline.
That is incredible.
How long should we make him wait? Here, let's see if I can put the.
How long would he wait? How long would he wait?
If I say the word, he'll do it. So
what's he looking at right now? Is he watching a show down the hall?
No, he's just not
ignoring.
I'm going to put the earphone.
He's licking his lips. He's looking at you like this guy's.
I'm not going to say the word, or he'll do it. So one of you guys say it. It's lay there. Leave it.
He's smelling it. He's smelling it.
Oh,
like he's using his paw. He's hiding
let
it.
him. Just let him, man.
One of you guys say TAKE. Say the word.
Go for it, Larry.
I'm going to put my earphone up to his ear. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Take it. Buster, take it.
Louder.
He got it. He got it. Yeah. He's all when in doubt, just eat. Yeah.
He heard say Buster, take it. So he did it. Yeah.
Look at that. That's
and then
unbelievable.
Faith has to get one out too, right?
You know what I saw today? There was a border collie who was walking with another border collie, and one of the border collies fell into this ditch. And they say border collies are the freaking smartest dogs of all time. The other border collie somehow figured out a way to pull the other border collie by the collar or by the leash out of the ditch.
Incredible.
One of the most incredible things. And I'm thinking to myself, I got a golden retriever. She's pretty smart. Like if I said, like to my son, hey, Ben, will you walk Penny? Like he says, okay. And then she follows him around instead of me. Like that's my dog. Because she knows. Look at that.
I gotta kill this right now.
That's your chaser, man. Yeah.
I gotta kill.
Is that for Faith or
No, for me. Kind of starting to get to me.
the aftertaste.
Oh my god!
Oh, look at that! You're starting to grow hair, kind of.
Oh my god! So Aaron Judge is really coming to the Giants, huh? That's
Yeah,
a real thing.
yeah.
That's
What do you
fucking
think?
amazing, man.
We'll see. We'll see if it's a real thing. I'll believe it when I see it. But I think if I had to predict what I think is going to happen, I think they're going to get Carlos Correa and Judge. That's what I think. Because I think Carlos Correa. I think the kid, the GM that they just got, Putilla, has got a tie to Correa. So I think he'll be able to get Correa, and then that will make Judge come to the Giants. So
awesome.
that would be now. The question is then what would happen with Crawford?
I think you could make him play third.
Second or third?
Where's he? You need range. Crawford's got range still.
But just on a side. That's the biggest free agent acquisition for the Giants since what, Bonds? I mean,
yeah, or Zito, I guess, if you want to say
Zito. I mean, that doesn't really. That's a weird one. I mean,
Aaron Rowand. I mean, the Giants haven't had that many free agents.
No, that's why this is big. I mean, I'm not even, dude. I've faded from the baseball scene so hard, and this would honestly bring me back a little bit.
Don't hold your breath.
Twisted Eva said, sorry,
Mo G says, wow, Buster is very disciplined.
Yeah.
Twisted Eva said, sorry, Dan. He's the one that put me over the top, the $20. I was kind of hoping it would like.
Look, you're kind of sweating a little bit. I've noticed a little. How are you feeling right now?
I'm fine.
You're okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dan, how come you didn't come to bed last night? How come you laid on the carpet? Dan, how come you didn't come to bed last night? I found you face down on the linoleum.
In the crate.
Oh, man. Now we're just amusing ourselves. Yeah. Seriously.
Well, when you're at 12:30 at night, you know,
look at these dogs laying. Look at they're both. They're kind of, you know, they're waiting for another one. But Buster, Buster's a good boy.
The only thing is, Faith is a huffing and kind of huffing and puffing a little bit.
Yeah, she's a little chubby. She's overweight. I can't get her weight off her. It doesn't matter what I do. If I cut her food way down, I get her running.
Do they like to touch there? Because it looks like her paw is touching the other dog's leg.
Yeah, they are touching her
tail. Yeah,
that's
amazing. A lot of times, you know, they'll sleep in the not. She
doesn't look too comfortable right there. She is kind of heavy.
Yeah,
she got a little chub on her. Well, how old are they?
Let's see. Buster was born May of 17, so he's 5, and actually Faith will be 5 in a week, November.
That's like November the perfect age, in my opinion. 5 is that sweet spot. They're chill, but you can still take them anywhere you want.
Yeah, they don't chew everything up, you know. Yeah, they're
great. Faith is huffing and
puffing. Where'd you get them, Danny? Where'd you get the dogs?
Actually, I got Buster up near Salinas. I'm trying to remember the city.
Prudendale. A little biscuit here. You get a little biscuit in your throat there.
No, a little peanut from the Snickers.
It was human grade.
From the
human grade.
Yeah, it's fine.
Graves.
I'll get worried if Dan starts itching. in that kind of repetitive.
So
in the next segment, the next segment, Dan's got a cone.
You familiar with Prunedale?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where I got Buster.
Okay.
And then Faith here in Arizona, she was a friend who's breeds labs. Faith was not supposed to have pups because she's got cataracts. and somehow she got, one of the dogs got to her when she was in heat, and so she had pups. But you're not supposed to breed a dog that's got health issues. So she had these cataracts that she developed after she was about a year old, and so she can still see, though. She knows where she's going, but she can't I thought about maybe I should do that. I'll eat the whole box if I can raise $4,000 and so I can pay for the cataracts. No, I'm not going to do.
Danny raised $4,000. He died. He died 7 hours later, but he did raise the $4,000.
Yeah. No, I was going to try and get. It's
be a great lawsuit.
A lot of money to fix their eyes.
They have cataract surgery for dogs?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, that's awesome.
What does it cost?
Okay. It's like $2,000 an eye.
Wow.
Close to,
per eye. Doc, I'll just do one. The dog will be fine.
Yeah. I mean,
give me one in a patch.
Just one, yeah. I'm on a budget.
I want a dog that looks like a pirate.
It doesn't affect your weight.
The eye patch.
It's just 4,000. No,
people are
2,000.
just like, you cheap ass. Did you go one eye? Yes, I did. I went one eye. Yeah, cheap ass. It's like a Seinfeld.
Yeah.
It's like a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I see him fine with one eye. Legs, one eye, no problem. He's gonna be fine.
No, they're good dogs. I love dogs, man. I would have
you would have more dogs.
If I had a lot of land. Oh man, you bet. If I had like acres, which I used to have 15 acres, but when I sold that, but I always wanted to have a dog, like
track,
a kennel,
like a racetrack,
like a kennel, like as a business, where because you can make some good money.
So you could fight them. You mean so you could like fight them?
No,
I'm just joking. No, I'm just joking. The old Michael Vick.
When they've got a place down here in not too far from us. It's actually got a pool. So the dogs, when you go, like when I go on vacation or something, and I board them there, inside they got, it's because it's Arizona, it's so hot. They got air conditioning, and then in the morning they got a big giant pool that the dogs just love. And they go out there from like 6 a.m. till 6 to 10. And then they come in when, in the summer, because it's like by 10 o'clock, it's just too hot for everybody. So, but the dogs, when I come home if I've been gone like a week, and they sleep for like 3 or 4 days, they just don't move. They're just so wiped out. Yeah. They're so wiped out.
We when we went to Tahoe, we dropped our dog at Camp Bow Wow. Camp Bow Wow.
Camp Bow Wow. Yeah, I almost bought one of those franchises.
Wow. And then it's
I was serious about having it.
It was probably $300-400. I mean, it wasn't cheap or anything, but you've got like a video. You can like watch your dog on video from your vacation like the entire time.
Awesome.
If you wanted to,
Right.
So that was great.
Did you check on your dog?
No, yeah.
Oh yeah, you can check on him on your phone. Yeah, you just look on there, and so.
I mean, you're not really looking for anything really, right? I mean, because it's just a bunch of dogs,
Yeah.
It doesn't really, you don't see anything really, but you can see them exercising, and, at least you can find out if there's some dog that's picking on your dog. I don't know. I don't even know.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's just awesome. You can check on your dog while you're on vacay. That's cool. I like that. Dan, why didn't you invest in the franchise? Like, why'd you back out?
I didn't like the franchise, the fees, and you were kind of hostage to them. So I looked to open my own up, and there was a great model, the one where I take them, and there was a piece of land that I was looking to purchase, and it would have been a perfect location. But
look at you, you're like Caesar Milan over here.
I just thought it would be a great business. And then I thought, my kids would be great to, pass it off to them, because, you're talking, when I drop both dogs off, it's combined $70 a day, Now it's 40.
It's more in
for
California.
one.
I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, more in California. Yeah. So
Much
if you
more.
got, imagine if you got 50 dogs in there paying $40 a day. I mean, that's 60 grand a month,
Yeah.
you know, of revenue.
When
And then
people
you-
care about their dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that, you know, there's when you go to Tahoe, you know, whenever I go up to Tahoe in the summertime, I always buy that, or not buy, but grab that thing at like Safeway in front that like tells you all the different, you know, all the different things you can rent and all the different, you know what I mean? In Tahoe, hey, you want to go water skiing, and there's all these coupons in there, whatever it's called, the Tahoe Penny Saver or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, they have these, like, you know, like day camp for dogs and like literally like dog spas. I mean, I'm not even joking. Like in Tahoe, you can take your dog to a spa.
Oh, yeah. It's unbelievable. So there's some people that, yeah, they'll pay unbelievable amounts of dog. I mean, it's kind of sad, but dogs in some people treat their dogs better than their kids.
Oh, absolutely. Shantae Ortega, Dan's Doggy Daycare. Look at that. The alliteration.
There you
It's like
go.
a business. Look at that.
No,
the
it's
idea
like-
was hatched on the Krueg show. Dan's
It's a-
Doggy Daycare.
The industry is just doing this, right? So if you're going to invest, I think it's a sound investment too. It's only going to grow, and you have all
I'll
these.
say the
stories-
most incredible thing that I've stumbled on as a dog owner is when you go to is it PetSmart, I believe?
Yeah.
They have this price match thing where as you're buying whatever at PetSmart, they literally do a price. If you ask them to, or at least the lady that checked us out did, they'll do like a price search for like everything you're buying. And if they can find it anywhere cheaper on the internet or whatever, they give you that price.
Incredible.
Yeah. That's
PetSmart?
incredible.
Yeah.
PetSmart. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find it. Definitely. You can
mean,
match
it's
it
really,
with,
really
like,
cool. If you-
Chewies.com's a big dog place now. It's become like the Amazon for dogs, you know, for pets, I guess, in general. But yeah, it's kind of
People
man,
care about their pets.
Pets, yeah, you get really attached, man.
Hell yeah.
This especially Buster. I've had him since he was a pup, you know.
Yeah.
And I hate to admit, but I am biased toward him because I had him as a puppy, and you know, Faith was already like 2 years old when I.
Why
when
can't
I
you
got
just
her.
look at Faith as an equal? Why do you have to differentiate?
I know what's up with that, dude.
It's
Oh,
just
cool,
the
man.
it's just the attachment. It's just
You're
the
a fucking
attachment.
asshole, dude. I can't believe we're
You're a
forward
goddamn
with you.
hater.
You motherfucker.
You son of a bitch.
I'm just attached to Buster.
You're an
'cause I-
evil human being, Dan.
Hey, Buster was he's actually a therapy dog, by the way. So
Oh.
he's
Dan softening the whole.
he could go. I'll show you.
I only love one of my
look.
dogs.
Oh, I got him on the front. Hold on, let me grab right off the refrigerator here. Check
What do you
this
call
out.
your dogs? I call one of them to dinner and the other one I don't.
And Shanti asked if I have any dogs. I had one for almost 13 years, and he passed away recently. So I'm dealing with that. I think my plan. I like what Dan's doing. Like I'm gonna rescue 2 new dogs next year.
Look at that. There's your Camp Bow Wow. That's my.
Look at that.
There you go.
Facepalm Godzilla says Dan treating Faith like the redheaded stepchild. That ain't
Yeah,
bad.
exactly.
Look
I mean,
at
the dog is
Buster
red.
there.
Mole's
There
in the chat. LOL. Oh, that's
Look,
a great looking dog.
That's Buster as a pup when I picked him.
Oh my god. Was it
Yeah.
was it like a breeder, or was it just
breeder?
a
One of the best breeders in.
And so he's
California.
purebred.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So what does that? What does that run you? What do you run you?
2,500.
Jesus.
2,500.
Yeah.
I'm going to the shelter. I'm a shelter man all day. every day.
2,500. I think
Yeah,
we
that's a lot
paid
of money.
like. I think we paid like. Well, we might have paid $1,000. We might have
For the
paid $1,000.
retriever. Are retrievers cheaper than labs?
Probably labs are more
No, I
expensive.
mean golden retrievers are great dogs. I've had 3 of them. They're awesome. Here's let me see. Here's Buster back in. Check this out. I named him Buster, and when I went and picked him up, look at my shirt I'm wearing.
Oh, there. Oh, damn. There you go.
We joked initially,
Buster's
Cy,
over the
that
shoulder.
we joked initially that Danny really was a Dodger fan and that his dog was really named Hershiser, but then he calls him Buster for us. You know, I'm like, or no, Sosha. Remember Sosha? I'm like, Sosha. Oh my God.
Tommy Lasorda, Tommy, or
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the guy there. Look when he was little.
Oh, that's
no. I'm gonna get 2 dogs. One's gonna be middle aged. One will be a puppy, and I'm just gonna go the rest of my life. When the older one dies, I'll just get another puppy. And I think that's how I'm gonna roll from now on. That's the dog plan.
I mean, that's always a good idea if the puppy will copy the older dog typically.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
that can help.
Are you gonna get a
Moises,
second dog,
I jumped
Larry,
in late, been playing catch up this episode. Great cast for the Warrior postgame. Oh yeah. We had Frank Red on tonight, Carl Foster, Bay Area Baller, Cy, Danny, Rye. We had everybody in the house tonight. So we had a lot of fun. We're gonna do this a lot throughout the basketball season. So
yeah, Mark Graves with it. That is fascinating. That some states, like, you just go to a mall and they have pet stores with all sorts of dogs and cats.
Don't buy a dog from the mall though.
Agreed. But
Why?
they're everywhere.
Why?
But here
Why
in
is
California, you don't see that really
the way
much.
they're
I know they
bred.
exist in some places.
They're not bred as well. They're you want to get from a real reputable breeder, and you're not getting that when you go to.
we found
mall.
Penny on Craigslist from
Nice.
a breeder in Antioch.
There you
If
go.
you get them directly from the breeder, you're better off because you
Yeah.
get the papers and everything like that.
And why are you two such elitist breeder dog people?
Well,
and
because
not rescue
here's the
people?
thing. I didn't want to go rescue because it was our first
I'm not
dog that we've
judging.
ever
I don't
had.
I've
What's
done
that?
rescue.
I'm not judging. I'm just joking around. No, what'd you say, Larry? Why? What?
Well, just because it was our first dog, and
Yeah.
people who had recommended said, because it's your first dog and you don't know much about dogs, you probably ought to take a class on. You probably got to have your dog trained, and you should probably do it from a breeder as opposed to a rescue, because sometimes rescues are a little bit more complicated. They sometimes have
True.
issues.
You're
Sometimes
right.
it takes a little bit more advanced ownership
work.
skill to bring them
It's
from A to
more.
B.
Yeah, I volunteered at San Francisco's Animal Care and Control for a couple of years, and to be a volunteer there, you actually have to go through like 20 hours of dog training. So they teach you. The whole thing is just is you teaching the dogs how to be friendlier, more well behaved, so that people rescue them, right? Because if you go to a shelter and they're all jumping and barking and do all sorts of crazy stuff, no one wants a dog. So yeah, it's crazy. So I got trained to be like a behavioral specialist for dogs, I guess, and just learn some weird little tricks. But you're right, man. Rescue dogs, you don't know what you're getting, and you have kids at your house, so like I totally get that, man. And yeah,
I mean, it's been great.
Dan's
It's
just
been
a total elitist, and he
You
just
know, exactly.
Hey, look
You know what
at that there. Look at that. There's my mom, Buster Posey.
nice.
Nice.
Took
There you
a
go.
picture. So cool. Set up. We were on the field before an A's
Is that
game.
at the Coliseum?
Yeah, it was my other brother is got some inside people with the A's, and we were able to get down on the field, and he set it up. So my mom was at the time, she had cancer. She passed away in 2019, but Buster was her favorite player, and so it was kind of cool. And speaking of Buster, here's one with
Buster's a good dude too.
Yeah, got one with Crawford, but check this out. There's got one with Bochy, and that was pretty cool.
Bochy going back to the Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
Good
love
for
it.
him. Good for him.
I'm gonna get me a Texas
How old is he?
Rangers hat. 67.
That's it.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought it was
it.
like 80. That's okay.
Hey,
Never mind.
by the way, who's your guys' pick for the World Series?
I got the Astros.
Is it already over? Like the
No,
Astros
it
swept
starts
the Yankees?
Friday. It starts
Starts
Friday.
No, but the Astros swept the Yankees. Like that.
Yeah.
That happened.
Swept them.
Yeah.
Swept them.
Jesus Christ.
Astros pitching is killer, and then the Astros have a core of guys, Bregman and this kid Pena. I mean,
I hate the Astros, so I'm all in on the Phillies, man. I hope the Phillies.
I'm just going for the Astros because of Dusty. I wouldn't mind seeing the Phillies win just because the excitement of a.
Well, you remember 80 NLCS Philly Astros was awesome. So I'm looking forward to
Oh
it.
yeah.
And Dusty doesn't have a ring, right?
No,
Right?
he does
No,
not.
no, he does.
As a
As a
manager,
player,
not
as a
not
player.
as a manager. He's had this will
Okay,
be
okay,
his
yeah.
this
81
will be
Dodgers.
his third crack at it.
02 lost. Oh,
Last year.
Last year lost.
And this year.
And then
Does it like?
no,
let me
is
ask you
this,
this.
that
Like,
it? I thought he was one more. Thought he had
No.
another one.
No.
Didn't the Astros?
No, he wasn't.
But
Oh,
let
he
me ask
wasn't
you this.
there. He wasn't there.
Does it still like does it still break your heart? I think it was the Rangers who almost had the World Series, and Ron Washington, who's like I've heard is the nicest
the Cardinals.
guy ever.
Yeah, Cardinals had
on the third baseman for the Cardinals who hit the wasn't that it? The what's
Yeah,
that
and
still pains me, man. I still,
David. He played it for the Dodgers a couple years ago. What
yeah,
was
he
his
was
name?
clutch too. Well, who was that?
what's Ron Washington
Who was
doing
that
now,
third
man?
baseman for the Cardinals? He was.
Ron Washington's coaching somewhere.
Yeah, he's still coaching.
What was that guy's name for the David? Somebody in the chat will know it. I bet you. Graves
who was the
knows it.
Cardinal third baseman who was super clutch? Who was like magical that postseason?
Yeah, and then he hit the walk off. He tied
He
it,
played
and then he won it in the 11th or something. He was with the Dodgers just 2 years. Freeze. That's it. David Freeze.
David
That's
Freeze.
Right.
David Freeze.
Thank you, Gilbert.
He was awesome that one year. Awesome.
Yeah, that was just the wildest game because that was game 6, wasn't it? Yeah. And Rangers were up. They were one strike away. It was 2011, wasn't it? Yeah, because the Rangers went back to back. They lost to the Giants in 2010. They go back in 11. That was the year they had Josh Hamilton.
Yeah.
And
you remember how about Kansas City wound up losing in 14 and winning in 15?
Right.
How wild was that?
Oh, that was that was
pretty wild. That was a good little run for Kansas City when you think about what a small market that is.
What is Josh Hamilton doing now? That's a random name that I haven't heard in many years.
I don't know.
Anyone know?
Yeah.
He had a lot of substance issues.
He had a lot of issues. Yeah.
He also had the issue when he threw the ball in the stands and the guy fell.
Oh gosh, and died out there.
Died with his kid. That might be the worst. That might be one of the worst stories of all time. The dad, you're sitting there with your kid at a game and you reach over and you fall and you die and he sees it. I mean, my God.
I mean,
that might just be one of the worst things. Baseball has changed the rules where the players do not throw the ball to the fans in any kind of dangerous. Like if you've noticed, if you've seen
they throw it
guys
deeper.
used to just wing it into the stands, not really care. Just be like, just get it, Now it's like you'll see them. They'll be like, they'll try to, they don't throw it in the upper deck or you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Well, it's weird. Did you see the other day though the Guardians during the rain delay they were throwing the football out to the Yankee fans, and one of the Guardians threw it all the way up to the first row of the second deck, and it was kind of like, oh my goodness, the guy's like reaching, he caught it, but they were having fun with the fans. It was raining, and they were just horsing around throwing the football, but that's pretty cool, Bring out the football and play with the opposing crowds, I mean, you got to kind of go, oh, that's pretty nice.
Remember when Jeff Francoeur used to throw hot dogs to the fans in the right field bleachers at the Coliseum?
Remember?
Yeah, they used to throw. Yeah, he had brought out hot dogs and was throwing them up there.
Oh my goodness.
Frenchie,
Really?
Yeah, Frenchie. I can remember that. I remember seeing footage of that. It's like Frenchie's getting hot dogs. He's throwing them into the bleachers.
Yeah, I think Ron Washington was with the Braves last year.
He was. I looked that up. I just saw that. So
yeah,
I'm happy for him.
He won. Wait a minute, where'd that go? I just put that up there.
There's this video. There's a lot of weird. I went down a rabbit hole one time on Wikipedia of Harry Carey. I was just curious about him, wanted to learn about him, and all of a sudden I'm reading a million Wikipedia stories related to baseball.
Let me hear you.
He's amazing, right? He's an amazing. His whole.
Can I tell you my Harry Carey story? My brush with Harry Carey.
I'm listening. Go for it, please.
So it's like 1995, something like that. And my brother and I go to spring training, and we get there. It's like the second week of spring training. We get there on like a Thursday, and there's this huge rainstorm in Mesa there at Hohokam Park. And so they play in Mesa there was this huge rainstorm in the morning, and the rain stopped at right at 11:40 or something like that. And they played the game, right? So, but there's hardly anybody in the entire stands. It's not like it had rained all morning, but it's Arizona in March. So it's really beautiful afternoon. It's water everywhere, but
you and I have both been there. Yeah. For spring training.
So I'm there in Mesa, and the Cubs, it was a Friday, and we had just flown in, and I'm sitting, right behind home plate, and Harry Carey is there, and we're talking, and he's really nice, and I'm like, where are you boys from? And we're like, I'm Northern California and this and that. So he's like, who is your team? I'm like, the Giants. And he's like, we play the Giants tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah, in Scottsdale. And he's like, do you guys have tickets? And I'm like, no. And he's like, here. And he gives us tickets to the game.
Okay.
And he goes, and they're good tickets, right behind the plate. And I goes, but there's one thing, you're going to be sitting next to a really annoying guy. And I said, who's that? And he's like, me. He's like, because he had 4 tickets, and he had 4 tickets, and he was going with somebody else, and he was looking for 2 people to give them to. Incredible. So now we talked to Harry on Friday. We go to the game on Saturday at Scottsdale. We're sitting next to Harry. So
incredible.
It's super bizarre. That right there was super bizarre. But then it was nothing the entire game. There was nothing but a steady stream of kids who just kept coming up to him, asking him for his autograph the entire game. And he signed the entire game. And so they were just kind of reaching over us almost the entire game. And at the end of the game, towards the end of the game, he's like, let me buy you boys a beer. I'm like, why? He's like, you already gave us tickets. And he's like, yeah, but you've had these kids crawling over you for 7 innings or whatever. And so he bought us a beer, and we sat next to Harry Carey as he signed autographs for little Cub fans the entire afternoon, and just talk baseball. I mean, the guy understood who he was. He was an ambassador for the game. He was like a guy who was truly a smiley face. He was like a marketing guy, and he understood it. He understood who he was and what he meant in the whole grand scheme. And he sat there, and he, instead of just saying, okay, that's enough, or have some security guard take the kids and say, Harry's not signing anymore. No, he signed the entire game.
Unbelievable.
It was an unbelievable thing. Yeah. And I said, Harry, God, do you ever turn anybody down? And he's like, oh, no way. No, no, sir. I mean, and Harry, the entire game, Harry, hey, go Cubs. The entire game.
Was he drunk? Is
no,
that
that's the way he sounds? That's the way he sounds.
Let me hear you. I won.
Look at the kid in the sombrero. I mean, yeah. It's funny when I spent one summer in my childhood with my relatives in Chicago, and it was the summer of 1977, and he was the voice of the White Sox.
Right.
Yeah, so he was not the Cubs voice. He was the White Sox
White
voice.
Sox first, yeah.
Yeah, White Sox first, maybe even Cardinals somewhere in there, but he was the White
Cardinals
Sox.
Cardinals was his main job for a long time. And then they fired him because there were rumors that he had an affair with the owner's wife. They were friends. I read this whole thing. It's crazy. Yeah, like I said,
so
I went down the rabbit hole, man.
By the
Harry
70s,
was Harry Adoka?
What?
What? No,
What?
by the late 70s. Yeah, great.
Oh my God.
I'm sure the Celtics appreciate that. But by the late 70s, I mean, he was just such a character with the White Sox. And then he, goes to the Cubs, and I mean, the whole thing just blew up, and he just,
You know what's even crazier? He was the A's voice, I think, for a year.
Was he?
For like a year or two. I think it was right around near the World Series time.
And then his son.
That's right. I think I remember that.
Is Skip Carey, who
did the Braves.
Did the Braves forever. on TBS.
Yep.
And then his grandson is Chip
Chip.
Carey.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Chip did the Cubs for a while. Maybe he
Yeah.
still does the Cubs.
Hey, I had a question for you, Cy.
Yeah.
When you did San Diego Sports Talk for a while, right?
I did. I lived there for 4 years, and I worked for the mighty 1090. Correct.
Was it 1090 or 690?
1090.
Well, it was 690 and then 1090.
Oh,
okay.
I didn't know that. Okay, that was
Yeah, it was
Okay,
690.
because I remember-
The mighty 690 used to be in the late 80s.
Yeah,
That
Lee
was-
Hacksaw
Lee
Hamilton.
He'd be like, I can still remember like it was yesterday. He'd be like,
Yeah.
people would call up, Lee, I've got a question about Darryl Strawberry. Excellent topic, my friend. I'm glad you brought it up. And then he would talk about it. And then he would be like, let's go to the hopper. Let's go to the hopper.
Yeah.
And it seems that the Cowboys have a new special teams coach, and he'll be starting on Friday. And we go to the hopper, and then he'd be like, let's go to Chula Vista for a phone call. And he's like, Bob and Chula Vista.
They
And
used
he's
to
like,
call in
and then
there
the guy would say anything.
Yeah.
Hey, Harry, I'd like to talk about the Chargers secondary. Excellent topic, my friend. I'm glad you brought it up.
And you know what's funny, man? He so I produced him
awesome.
for a while because he was there when I was working there, and he just is someone who did not adapt. So like they put him in mornings. They made him like the morning talk show host, which is like, you know, the most prestigious time slot in radio. And they got some like Republican senatorial candidate as his co-host from Arizona.
I think he was the voice of the Chargers too, wasn't he?
Oh, are you kidding me?
He was. He got fired. He got fired from that.
I was, but for after years. But I mean, I used to be, I was good friends with Hacksaw, and I used to leave him messages because his signature saying at the time, the Chargers running back was Marion Butts, and he'd be like, touchdown, Marion Butts, touchdown, Marion Butts. And he used to just say it. It was like, that was his thing. And so I used to leave him messages sometimes, be like, hey, Hacksaw, man, we'd love to have you on the show. And then I'd be like, touchdown, Marion Butts. And then sure enough, he'd call back.
And just to finish my Hacksaw story, because he's an eccentric character, man. He's different for sure.
Oh, I mean, he's been a friend for a long time.
He was always nice to me. But the thing is, so they put him in mornings with this weird Arizona politician. It was the worst combination ever in radio. But so this is, the internet was full steam by then. This was like 2012, 2013. Yeah, so everything's full steam by then. And he insisted, he refused to budge on this. He goes, the first 15 minutes of every hour is my news segment. And all he would do is just read scores and just read like whatever's going on in the news that anyone could just look up, right? And he just insisted, and the show ended in like a year, and I don't know what he's doing now, but yeah.
Did you know Chet Forty and Steve Hartman? Were you there?
Yes,
no, Steve Hartman was
I know
extra.
those guys.
I used to.
Yeah, Steve Hartman. I know Steve Hartman well.
Yeah, he was.
There you go,
he was really good. Really good. Him and Chet Forty. You know, former Monday Night Football producer, and Chet had some great stories, and I believe he was really close with Muhammad Ali, wasn't he, Chet?
Oh, there's I mean, there's some of these old sports talk radio guys, Papa Joe Chevalier. You guys ever read Papa Joe?
Yeah.
Papa Joe, for the first year I listened to Papa Joe, I thought he was booking bets. He was like, seriously, he was always like, he's always like marking people down. All right, I've got you down for the Eagles. It's like, what? It's like, dude, are you booking bets here? What are you doing, Papa Joe?
Oh yeah, I used to.
Bill Madlock used to fill in for him.
Oh,
they used to Mad Dog, but also, who was one of my favorites for years was Todd Wright all night. You guys remember Todd Wright?
Oh yeah.
What is he doing?
He was the best.
He
and Damon Bruce was his producer.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Where's Todd Wright, man? What happened to that guy?
I think he's in Tampa.
No shit. Good for him.
Yeah.
I used to listen to Jim Rome when he came on and when he was on at night, late night.
Yeah. Well, he used to make fun of Hacksaw when they were both at the Mighty 690.
Yeah, they were the Mighty 690. Yeah, Jim Rome. That's
Excellent
where he got his
topic,
start.
my friend. Glad you brought it up. Yes, the Saints have a brand new special teams coach, and he starts on Thursday. And he's coming from Baltimore. And it's like, and that should improve their special teams.
He always had that
Hacksaw.
walrus mustache, like
Hacksaw was the best.
character, and that haircut. Who else has a haircut like that in this planet? Like it's like a bowl cut from like the 50s or some shit. He's a character. He's one of a kind.
Oh man,
Oh, yeah, San Diego, because I went to college down there, so I listened to all those guys, Jerry Coleman and
Jerry Coleman. Jerry Coleman is
Ted Leitner?
one of my
Ted
Coleman was
Leitner.
one of my
Oh, my
favorite
goodness.
people in ever.
Yeah, I
Jerry
love
Coleman
Coleman.
went to Lowell High School, played with DiMaggio. I used to do interviews with Jerry Coleman, and you can hang a star on that one. You know that one.
Yeah.
He was
Hang a star. Yeah.
You can hang a star on that one.
But I know Ted Leitner grew on a lot of people and became really good. But when he started out, he was such a homer. He was such a homer.
By the way, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. He's active.
Yeah,
it was
he's
the
great.
Best, it was the best 15 minutes. That's what it was called. And he still is doing it. Still fucking doing it. It's incredible.
I gotta look him up. I gotta hear. I gotta hear Larry's impersonation.
Holy shit! He's on Twitter.
Touchdown, Marion Butts.
I'm gonna follow him on Twitter. He's on Twitter.
Touchdown. Excellent topic, my friend. Let's go to Bob and Encinitas. Bob, how are you? He'd be like this. I'm Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, and we want to talk sports with you. Remember that?
Yes.
I'm Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, and I want to talk sports with you.
Your impersonation is gold, man.
I love to listen to him every night.
Oh my God, there were so many.
This afternoon, he was when I was listening to him. I think he was like 4 to 7, 3 to 6, something like that.
God, I mean, there's so many. I have so many impersonations deep in my brain. One of my favorite was the Santa Anita. The South African Trevor Denman, who was the announcer.
He's an announcer. He does the
at Santa Anita. And he'd be like, racing.
Hello, this is Trevor Denman. Yeah.
Trevor.
We lost Larry.
Oh no! He's back. He's back. We got you back, buddy.
Hey, winning colors. And he'd be like, his thing was he'd start every race with racing.
Yeah.
Racing. Winning colors is galloping forward on the outside, eating up ground. Just awesome stuff.
We got to have.
Or the guy, was on another one was the guy who did was it Mike? Who's the Penguins announcer?
I don't know.
With the who was just awesome. He was like Grant Napier used to have this guy on, and Mike something, and he was like, his signature phrase was like "hack you in the back with a hacksaw." So it was like most ridiculous.
Dude, Gary Radnich used to always get a rise out of that too. Remember, like Gary. I hope I'm not getting too revealing too much here, but for years, like Gary was hiding like his relationship and marriage, and because I think his wife was in LA, right? So he'd always leave and go. He wouldn't tell anybody, but he'd go to LA on weekends and come back. And on KNBR, he'd have all these like LA stories. Remember, like every time he'd come back and he'd be talking about Hacksaw and all that. And we're always like, what the fuck? Why are you talking about this LA shit? Like what? And we found out later it's because he'd go down to see his wife and stuff. But dude, he's obsessed with Hacksaw. Like I remember every time I want to get a laugh out of him, I just bring up Hacksaw Hamilton. I don't know why, but hey, yeah, your impersonation.
Who my favorite impersonation to do was I one time got caught in I was doing the nighttime show, right? So I was doing a face-off.
Was Sean Schultz the producer?
I was doing a face-off with Ralph, the late Ralph Barbieri, and Ted Robinson.
Yeah.
And these guys got into one of the most hilarious. I think I can do it for you. Okay. It had me rolling to a point where it's like burned in my brain. Okay. So it was all about how Ralph wanted the Tom Hansen, the Pac-12 commissioner, to come on the show with him and Tolbert. And Ted was all connected with the Pac-12. But Ted didn't, I don't think, wanted to give Ralph this connection that he obviously had. And Ralph knew he had it. And so Ralph's like, hey, Ted,
Ted, I'd like to have Tom Hansen on the show, and I know you have his number. Could you just give me his number? Could you just tell him to come on the show with me and Tom? I would really love it if you could get me Tom Hansen from the Pac-12, and
he's like, Ralph. And then this is Ted Robinson comes back. He's Ralph. Oh my God! I can't believe somebody of your perspicacity doesn't have a connection within the walls of the Pac-12. I find that hard to believe.
You're right, Ted. I am perspicacious. I have great perspicacity. People have said that about me through the years. They said, Ralph, you're perspicacious. You know everybody. You got great perspicacity. But that's what I'm saying. I don't know him. That's the point. Ted, that's exactly the point that I'm trying to make. I don't know Tom Hansen, and I want you to introduce me.
And then Ted's like, Ralph, calm down. I come in peace. Hey, look, I'm just, all I'm saying, Ralph, is I'm just surprised that somebody as perspicacious as yourself wouldn't already have a contact within the walls of the Pac-12 network. And I'm just surprised that you don't know somebody.
I just said I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody.
Was this on the air?
Yes, this is all on the air.
Oh my God.
And I'm sitting right there.
You're right. I'm very perspicacious. You're right about that. You've nailed me. You're spot on. There's absolutely spot on.
Oh my God. And I'm sitting there and they're arguing about perspicacity versus perspicacious.
Oh my God.
And Ralph's, getting seriously,
could you just call him? Could you just have him on the show? And
Ted's not giving in. He's not saying, hey, I'll get him on the show for you. He's like, I'm just surprised you don't know him already. I'm really surprised.
I know lots of people. I'm a Renaissance man. A lot of people say I know a lot of people.
Oh my God, dude. It went on. And I think Agnew called down to the studio, end this conversation.
Yes.
Krueger's on at 7:04. Tell him to shut up. It's like, tell him to go get his car out of the parking lot. It's like, dude, awesome. Arguing about perspicacity and Ralph. I love Ralph. Ralph.
Oh my goodness.
He was like Hacksaw, just one of a kind. By the way, Larry, I emailed you a link to Lee Hacksaw Hamilton literally publishes his best 15 minutes. And I emailed you the link if you want to actually he literally writes the whole script out every day on his website. It's a massive script. If you open it right now, I'm very curious to know if you could actually do it.
It'd be incredible. The Warriors tonight in Phoenix lose a close one to the Suns, my friends. An upset of huge proportion. Klay Thompson, for the first time in his NBA career, ejected. Steve Kerr, technical fouls. 7 technical fouls. Let's go to Bob, who joins us from, from Bob from Poway.
Oh my God!
Can you do that into his personal life? Can you make it like he's asking somebody out, or is he married? Lee Hacksaw, is he married?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's got kids.
Have a conversation like, "Hey, honey, what do you want to go for vacation? What do you say we?"
Lee, I'd like to go to Disneyland. Excellent place to vacation, honey. I'm glad you brought it up. Let's go to Sam in Chula Vista. Want to talk a little Dodger baseball. Lee, who's going to be the better player, Eric Davis or Darryl Strawberry? Oh, that's a great topic. I'm glad you brought it up. Oh my God. God. For hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. All right, good stuff, guys. I've got to go to Niner camp tomorrow.
This is late.
Yeah, this is late. Yeah. It's 1 o'clock
in
the
look,
morning.
we saw dog food consumed by a human being.
It was an incredible.
Let's say human grade. Human grade. We gotta make sure we put that in there for my reputation here. Human grade.
Yes, Dan ate dog food, ladies and gentlemen, but it was human grade.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Careful, whatever you bring me getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to